a news show, and that is what happened in the news.
Now I'm going to buy some mother F bleep guns.
At all? No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek.
I love Tesla.
To topple?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people living around?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that
because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
What
predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
claims anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe
they're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Tell me which Arab country has stepped up and said, you know what, we're going on the side of Iran. They're doing so great. The Israelis are kicking their asses left and right. The U.S. hasn't even gotten involved directly. Yeah, so where are they? They're nowhere. How about China? Nowhere. How about Russia? Nowhere. What happened to World War III? There is no World War III. They all sound like a bunch of Marxist Islamists. They don't sound like patriotic American who's going to get behind the United States, the commander-in-chief, or you're not. One other thing. These little weasels in Congress like Tom Massey, the War Powers Act, and I'm a constitutionalist, he says, and I know the president's not, he can't do this on his own. Hey, Tommy, let me educate you about the Constitution. Is the War Powers Act in the Constitution? It was passed in 1973. Was the Constitution adopted in 1970, Tommy? Omar, who supports the enemy? Folks, this is black and white. You're either on the side of the red, white, and blue, or you're on the other side. It's that simple. Oh, what is the War Powers Act? It is an unconstitutional law that tries to steal power from the commander-in-chief. If Congress wants to step in, and they don't believe that the President of the United States should help Israel, help us, take out a nuclear site, so these primitives don't have a missile that can hit Detroit and Los Angeles and Philadelphia or wherever they want to. If that's their belief, they have what's called the spending clause of the Constitution. They can withhold money. Congress did that. In the Vietnam War to Ford, he vetoed it. They overrode his veto. Stand behind our commander-in-chief. We need to stand behind the Israelis. We need to put this evil to rest. once and for all. 50 years is a forever war. It's time to get rid of them.
Hi. Hello, humans. This is your power report for the 19th of June, 2025. I am Dan from the internet. I imagine I can be heard. Bam is here with me. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Why is your face like that?
Big echo in there. Where you at? In the halls, Library of Congress or something?
Essentially, yes. Sorry about that echo. We will just work with it because I'm sure if I was using any other microphone, it'd be much worse.
It's all good. I just got to have one joke at least.
Fair enough. No, yes. This is the lobby, the soundproof barrier, the undisclosed location I'm using in these times, I guess. But anyways, thank you, Bam and C's, for holding down for me on PowerPoint last week as I was traveling. C's allegedly is going to be on a little bit later. I'm sure he's still enjoying his, whatever half of Juneteenth that he chooses to celebrate, whether it's the first half of the day or the evening. I'm not sure whether he picks. Anyways, slow news week. We get to talk about one of Bam and I's truly founding topics with the show, which is Donald Trump flirting with bombing Iran. Nothing more PowerPoint than that. And a couple more goodies, national, domestic and international, in this wonderful week. I promise we'll laugh a little bit. We'll laugh just a little bit, but that's how it is. Beer number one. Now, this is for Cenk Uygur and Ro Khanna. More on that later. No, but I figured we would start with the most important issue of the week, and Bam thinks going to be making a joke, but no, it's actually everything going on with Iran right now. I think at time of recording this earlier today, Trump's press secretary came out and said basically that there would be no, Donald Trump will make his decision in 2 weeks. You got to make sure you're watching the season finale of Presidential Apprentice right after Access Hollywood, his second favorite show on TV. So we're kind of at that. We've seen over the past week a continuation of the back and forth bombardment between Tehran and Israel. All I can say is Iron Dome who? Is the Iron Dome in the room with us right now? Lots of casualties being sustained. It's a serious issue with capital cities in both territories being just definitely under fire. But what are some of your initial thoughts as we kind of go into this?
Well, I got a lot of thoughts. I do have a lot. Hopefully I don't rant too much as the Power Report Middle East expert. No, I'm joking.
Not really.
Well, I want to say a couple things. I want to say this first because we're all being gaslit by by Donald Trump, his administration, and every media outlet that I've seen, left, right, center. We are being gaslit by them all because the narrative is that Israel did this preemptively and America's not involved and all this different stuff. But as I've been commenting everywhere I can, the Trump administration got involved in March, actually, with this Israeli campaign because the Trump administration bombed Yemen over 800 times between March and last month. Over 800 times the Trump administration bombed Yemen. Notice I'm not saying the Houthis because they bombed many civilians also, but they took out a lot of the Houthi missiles and things that they were using to target Israel. Let's not forget the Houthis were literally shooting rockets and missiles at Tel Aviv not that long ago. But the Trump administration did a bombing campaign that that hasn't happened in Yemen in the past 10 years. So, in my opinion, that was the Trump administration getting involved early. I think the Trump administration paved the way for this Israeli action in Iran. That's my opinion. Also, now, am I going to do this? Yes, I'm going to do it because
somebody got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. And I really, really hope I don't see, like, this is what I need from every leftist online. We got to keep the same energy, okay? Because when it was Israel war on Gaza, that was Joe Biden's fault. And the whole rhetoric was Joe Biden can end this genocide right now by either telling Netanyahu to stop or not supplying Israel with weapons. If that was the case for Gaza, then this action that Israel is undertaking should have Trump's name all over it by every single leftist, because every single one was blaming Joe Biden. And I don't want to see people saying Israel's dragging America into a war, or Israel's dragging Trump into a war, and Trump's got to make a decision. If it was Joe Biden's fault last year, it is Donald Trump's fault. Donald Trump's administration arms Israel. Literally, Netanyahu has said on TV that America is helping this bombing campaign. So I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen it yet, but I really I'm very frustrated with Donald Trump getting the passes that nobody else gets. It should be Trump's award. It should be bomb Iran Trump, just like it was Genocide Joe. Now, am I going to see that? Highly doubt it, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah, if I could have any, in defense of the left, which is what I do all the time on Power Report. No, I think all your points are very well taken. I think it's very hard for me. Maybe it's some difference in between after this like November election, knowing all this inevitable stuff was coming, and before that, and some changes in the media landscape, and I'm not going to make too many excuses there. But I think it's just like harder to ascertain what the left so-called online is doing. And I also think like they have less power than ever because liberals in Cheyenne, Wyoming, going to protests are currently doing more than much of this ilk right now. So I think like this sort of like cohort you're talking about has never been more wrong and irrelevant than ever. A lot of that energy you're seeing about this, this recent, flare-up is actually coming from the right wing. And, it's a little interesting, I'll say,
for now.
Yes, for now. I think all of the skids, so it's like the runway has been greased for the moment bombs were to fly down in Iran from the United States. Israel said they need, hold on. Israel has said that they need those United States like bunker buster style weapons in order to get to the nuclear targets they're supposedly trying to reach. Although, if we know anything about Israel over the past several years, and many more than that, it's they are a country of military restraint and keeping their word when it comes to the particular targets they want to bomb and why. Soon we're going to see, oh, well, how do we know they were doing nuclear enrichment underneath this hospital, attached to this school, attached to the senior center? Like, we're going to be about 3 weeks away from that, most likely. But before I do get to, and I think to close on that point, the right wing will coalesce around Daddy. 3 months ago, they were saying, Daddy's home, like Sabrina Carpenter. Now they're saying, I think I'm going to rebel against Daddy now. But you know how that always works with Daddy's MAGA, as we'll say right here, right? Someone read me for filth while I was walking in New York, one of my friends, because we were in a group, and she was like, oh, thankfully Dan has that MAGA hat on so we can all find where he is. This is a Clippers hat. I've been repping LA out here. I'm currently in New York, and more on that in a little bit. And
too close,
I've also been repping Los Angeles a little bit more while I'm out here, just because it's like within my clothing accidentally, and also just like his, love it till you leave it, I guess. Not so much wearing my Dodgers hat right now. Not feeling that. Not but all that being said, here is Donald Trump doing his like saber rattling thing. And if people on the left won't do it, because there's some sort of like fatalism, of course you weren't going to expect this. Here we will hear. This is crazy talk. If we were talking about yes, and Bam's point, if we were talking about Joe Biden's mental acuity when he's running cover for Israel in this case, we'll be looking at Donald Trump right now and going, he kind of sounds a little bit out of it. He kind of sounds like, he's not fully there. It's really interesting compared to how he used to sound. Let's get that clip over here, and then we'll introduce Season for some response to this. But here is Trump speaking on the White House today with some blue collar workers. He tries to get that backdrop on very often because blue collar Donald, that's what they call him. That's what he's known as for sure. Let's see.
President, have you given to answer questions about whether you are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities? Where's your mind?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question?
We had this whole thing where Tulsi Gabbard, who Trump had hired to be on his Security Council, was saying, no, we don't have any evidence that Iran is enriching for nuclear weapons. And Donald Trump's response was literally, not surprisingly, I don't care. Like, that's not my problem. My computer is tripping out a little bit, so I am going to try to bring C's back on.
Don't worry, I'll talk. What's the name? Yeah, he said to Tulsi, oh, we got big seats with the CIA shirt. Interesting. Okay.
The time is now.
Got to reveal. But no, yeah, he said, I don't care what she says. And yeah, going back to what you said, Dan, about the right, like as soon as Donald Trump, actually going back to this, he said today, like, I'll make the decision within 2 weeks or in 2 weeks. And every time I hear that, I'm like, that's cap. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they bomb Iran today, like, or tomorrow, because I just remember when George Bush said they were going to give Saddam Hussein, I wish I could remember the timeline, but let's say he said we're going to give Saddam a week to surrender, and they started bombing Baghdad like the next day. So, and I was like, well, damn, you said you're going to give him a week. Maybe he was going to do it. So Trump said he's going to make his decision within 2 weeks. I don't know if in the meantime, Iran and Israel are supposed to still be bombing each other, but it'll be interesting because if Donald Trump makes a decision to not have, to not like go ahead with him, like the American military bombing Iran explicitly, Iran's going to be running around like we won that bitch. Like they're going to be like having big ass parades. They're going to be building statues. Like they're going to be acting like, look how we just destroyed the West. They like the whole Tehran could be flattened and they will be celebrating like crazy. So for one, I really hope that it doesn't get to that point, but I'm not going to give Trump a pass because of what happened in Yemen this year. But yeah, we'll see what happens within these alleged 2 weeks. Caesar?
Just to set C's up really quickly, and I promise to speak quickly, we just kind of entered the show talking about CIACs over here. As we were talking about Trump's response to, his 2 week ultimatum, saying, we gave him 60 days amount of patience. Actually, just kidding. I want 74 days because we want to, end the season really cleanly before, the summer hits on NBC start playing. No, but we're also starting to get into this, and you joined right at the time, when we're starting to see some, fractional splitting within the conservative movement. Now, whether this lasts, whether it doesn't, the betting money says it doesn't, is anyone's guess. But I'm wondering how you're feeling about A, Trump's saber rattling when it comes to the war in Iran, and then B, a war with Iran and joining Israel later, and B, some of the response online with the left wing, which I think hates it, but isn't really drawing two and two together with Joe Biden and Trump being one and the same here and bringing that same energy. But B, the right wing response, which has been really juicy.
Well, I mean, you can definitely see that, especially with the right wing response. I think it's causing like a lot of friction in between their own base for the people that are going super hard for Trump. And sorry, my setup is crazy. I broke my mic stand, so we're going thug life. We're going hand on the mic today. But yeah, do you see the friction? Pause. We saw the no pause this month. And then this month we don't pause. So then you saw the friction. You saw the goofy ass Tucker Carlson going against the ugly dude or whatever from Texas. I forgot his name. I don't want to remember it. Them beefing, and then you obviously saw some of the discussions with Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Titan, and her discussions and everything, how they feel. So you could tell that the base is divided upon the discussion that they voted on Trump, saying that he was going to be the president of peace and they're not going to go to war. And already we're war hawking like crazy, and the war hawks are excited about that. So it's causing a division. But I think the weirdest part, like you already mentioned, that 2-week deadline is so goofy to me. I don't understand why you need 14 days. You need 2 business weeks to get something like this happen. I don't understand. I guess people's lives are just that expendable where we can just give it a 2-week window and see how many bodies get dropped. But it's I think the worst part about this, it's not about what Trump says when he's sitting in his chair with Juventus soccer players behind him. It's when he gets home and he gets laid up in bed and he starts getting on Truth Social talking about, oh, maybe they should just fucking figure it out, and maybe I'll have Russia mediate conversation. It's like when he starts spitting off the meds, he just starts saying crazy shit. So I think that's what's more concerning. And obviously in the last 10 years, we're having more access to presidents and their thoughts than ever before in history. And the worst part of that is it's a crazy guy there now. So that makes it double worse. So I of course, I am here hoping that absolutely nothing escalates further, especially to the point where America has to intervene. But to be honest with you, who knows at this stage? I feel like we're in a time where we just kind of just wait and see, and then we have to react to a level where they take like half a step back. That's what it feels like right now, and I think it's extremely infuriating.
Yeah, the whole Taco Trump thing was really in my head right now, because the argument when that came out, which was, I think it was like a Financial Times writer who was talking about this phenomenon on Wall Street, this idea around tariffs and kind of building a trade strategy, and basically how can rich people get richer and recover any money that Donald Trump may have cost them. And the idea of Trump always chickens out, was the idea of trading on the volatility of Donald Trump, making money off of that. Now, I guess with war, that's relevant to Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and Honeywell and all those companies right now to do a similar thing. But the criticism of that is that, like, do we want to goad Trump? Do we want to say, oh, Trump, you're a chicken right now? Because then that could, inadvertently cause him to do something else. And I'm not really trying to make an argument that the media is out here, really goading Trump on purpose, on accident. I think that's beside the point. But the dynamic you were talking about, C's, that made me think of this all to begin with, was that just because Donald Trump, I think the best case scenario at this point is that Trump decides to cool down in the next 2 weeks or so. And, Israel lets up. There starts to be some sort of like ceasefire, at least in practice. And that would be generally a good thing. But the damage is already done, whether he hits the button or not. Like the title of the show, like the stream is kind of titled like Donald Trump toys with the red button. But to me, the red button could be that fake red button Drake has, where it's like, okay, this is going to be the moment I actually end Kendrick, and it just like doesn't work out. Sorry to relitigate that again, but like I think it could be a you're chickening out red button, like the this is the best I got, it's nothing red button, which could be this art of the deal blustering strategy. It could be worst case scenario, we're bombing Iran again. But a lot of the damage has already been done rhetorically, right? Like Israel and Iran are not good. There's no incentive for Iran to trust Donald Trump or the United States really ever again around nuclear enrichment and any sort of deal right there. There's really no incentive for Iran to trust Israel, Iran to trust really anybody in the West right now. It's very much everyone for themselves. They'll continue deepening their relationships with China, Russia, and other sort of larger powers that have shown to not want to walk in lockstep with everything that the United States-led hegemony wants to do. Bam, you're unmuted.
Iran's got to be like really paranoid because like in those first few days, most of those attacks in Iran were coming from within Iran. Like they had so many safe houses and buildings and apartment buildings that were full of Israeli weapons that they used to like. There were car bombings that assassinated Iranian military within Iran. So, like the Iranian government is compromised on the highest levels, just like we saw with Hezbollah. I'm sorry, and also the Iranian military. We saw that not too long ago when Israel assassinated Ismail Haniyeh, the now former one of the leaders of Hamas. They killed him in Tehran. Like from what I remember, it was with some kind of RPG at a freaking apartment. So like they like you were saying, Dan, like there's no reason for them to trust the United States / Israel. They're going to look at them as like one entity, as they should. And yeah, I mean, Iran has been fairly they've been very transparent with their nuclear program since the nuclear deal 2000, what was that, 15 or something like that? I forgot. Maybe it was before that, but they've been very transparent. They had inspectors there, and it's history repeating itself. It was the same thing for Iraq too. Like Iraq had inspectors all over the country. One David Kelly, who mysteriously died after he said Iraq did not have any weapons of mass destruction. It was the same thing. They had inspectors and it didn't matter. It's the same thing for Iran right now. Hopefully it doesn't escalate from here. As it is, people have been told to flee Tehran. From what I've seen, the last number I saw was like around 600 people have been killed in Iran, and like a couple dozen in Israel. People in Iran, they turned off the internet for a while. I don't know if it's still off. It's a really bad situation in Iran and in Israel. We want it to stop, but I think what I'm thinking about Donald Trump in this situation, he's always been an Iran hawk, always. The deal, the negotiations they were talking about, it's like that was all fake. Like those negotiations they're having in Iran, in Oman, it's like just go back to the nuclear deal that they had before that you got out of in 2018. So if he was negotiating for them to just completely give up their nuclear program, why? Like, what's the point? What are they going to gain from that? Like, what are you going to do for them? They're talking about some like nuclear pool or some shit. I don't know. Like, they're gonna have like some nuclear situation maybe in Qatar, and like they can all share it, like some dumb shit that they were talking about. At this point,
wait.
I swear.
So the strategy is to let all of the Arab states come together and have their own pool of nuclear weapons.
Not weapons, but nuclear, like a nuclear energy, whatever. Like having their own situation where they can use nuclear energy, but it's like they're all going to share it. Like it's not going to be like in Iran anymore.
That's so funny. Like I'm not laughing. It's so funny.
No, literally.
That would just give them the pretense, which we all know they want, to say, well, they say they're enriching uranium, but it's all the Arab states, and you can't trust them. It's hard to pronounce their names. They write these squigglies, like they might be Israel. Do your thing. Like it sounds to me like the diplomatic version of setting up a game of pool. Like just getting all the balls you want in the triangles, you can just like hit it like right there. Yeah, this is pool form actually. That's exactly how but no, that's crazy, dude. Like that is like it's nonsensical. And for the idea for the United States, like you're saying, a lot of Trump's deals are like this, nouveau rich tech thing of let's break everything, and then once we see what we didn't need to break or what we shouldn't have broken, we'll just come back to the table and fix that, and it'll all be A-okay. The idea of Trump walking around doing another nuclear deal right now, it's like, hey, first of all, they're not dumbasses outside this country. They do remember that you killed the original JCPOA. Second of all, they're not going to trust you, not only because you killed the original JCPOA, but now because of this new Netanyahu excursion that they're doing. Yeah.
That Caesar supports with his CIA shirt.
This is the CIA World Tour shirt.
Can I say something? May I say something really fast? Happy Juneteenth to everybody except Caesar, whose country was the last to end slavery in the Western Hemisphere. The last one, and it's his fault.
I don't think I was there, but I probably would have kept working, so I get it. Now, happy Juneteenth to American people, I guess, not me.
Thank you.
I guess
this is this being the severely melanated show as it is, to borrow Mitt Romneyism. This isn't going to be the sort of like we do a whole Juneteenth segment, but we'll mention it here and there in spots and spaces. I think it'll come up, but no, we don't have to do the white guilt thing of like, okay, let's Democracy Now! Is going to vote the entire show to Juneteenth.
Yeah, Sean really wanted to be here, but we said not today, dog. Today you can't be on the show.
We'll hit you up in September.
We'll talk to the same thing. Nah, dog, you're not getting on today.
I wanted to play. It's really kind of terrible what's going on because like I said, Iran is able to penetrate the Iron Dome, and one of the unfortunate consequences of that is Israeli civilian targets are being hit. Now I don't know. Hang on, man. Now I don't know why. It doesn't really make sense to me that a state as sophisticated as Israel would hide its military targets among heavily populated civilian populations, effectively using their civilians as human shields. That doesn't make sense to me why they would be doing such a thing, because they argue against Hamas doing that all the time. So here's, I believe this is Ben Gavir's response. I'll get this in a moment. Yeah, this is Ben Gavir's response to some of the strikes here. Let's see what he has to say.
I quit.
No, good. Let me give a second to get this going. But yeah, here we are. No. Nope. Shh. One last switch. I'm still getting used to doing this on here. There we are. No.
Caesar.
There we go.
When we went out to this war, we knew we were dealing with Nazis. But now the whole world sees that these people, the elderly, the sick, and the helpless.
They're bombing hospitals. In his words, they're Nazis.
Okay, but Caesar, before you go, I just want to say this. From what I saw, maybe not in the last like 2 days or so, but initially I was seeing that mostly Arab Israelis were getting hit by these bombs, by these missiles that are hitting Israel, and also they're not letting.
Reason I was gonna say, oh, you're gonna hit it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they're not letting Arabs into the bomb shelters, but yeah, a lot of Arabs have been getting killed in Israel.
We're going full Ukraine. We're the beginning of the Ukrainian war when everyone was packing into their subway system, which is popularly known as the deepest like level within the ground subway system across the world. And in that, when people were evacuating, anyone who was like not ethnically Ukrainian was being told, "Oh no, we got to get our people out first. You're gonna start pushing all you like African immigrants off the stations, right?" Now fast forward to
whatever.
Yeah, you know. Now happy Juneteenth. Now fast forward to Israel, and you know, bombing hospitals a step too far. Good thing that they would never do such a thing, and would never do such a thing with American help for 2 years.
Okay, Caesar, real interesting. There was something else I wanted to say about this too. But I feel like I forgot. But the situation is dire. It's what you know. It sucks when you're. Oh, this is what I was going to say. You see a lot of rhetoric about World War III, potential World War III, etc. Let me just let you guys know that Iran has no military allies, and I'm pretty sure I said that on Power Report before. Iran does not have any military allies. If you're seeing right now, Russia is not coming to the aid of Iran. There was fake stories that China was bringing in weapons. Those stories were fake. North Korea, that's a joke. And India, the other big BRICS country, is on Israel's side. So Iran does not have any military allies other than, you know, they used to have Hezbollah. Hezbollah is out of there. You know, Hezbollah is so down bad that they have, within Lebanon, have said that they're willing to give up their arms and just become a political party. Go ahead. You going to sing it or are you going to say it?
Well, no, I just think if the conversations about WW3, like when you see the WW3 posts and stuff, it's like, I'm telling you right now, if it goes down, it's unfortunately everybody versus Iran. Like it's like there's no team up, there's no backup. It would be really. That's why. Well, first reason I don't want wars because I don't want it because you don't want people to die. Second of all, it's because they're just gonna get body. Like it's everybody. Like it's just too much. Like especially already Israel, especially with Donald Trump is saying already Israel is most likely counting on USA backing on whatever they do. Iran has no other backing they can count on, so that'd be rough. And that's why the term World War III kind of gets thrown around easily, kind of like the terms like super team does. Like what constitutes that is like different parts, like two continents like disagreeing on something. Like that's what it would take to get world. It'd be like if North and South America were really sick of like what's happening in Asia. That's world war. Like, you know, like it would take multiple, not just like 4 superpower countries against one country. That's not a world war, man. Yeah, like that's terrible.
Yeah, I don't all these become terms now, like super team or World War III. It's people who use those things have found some sort of like algorithmic kick off of them. And it's why we are getting really close to like the return with the U being a V of like us pulling away, like people who are like serious within the political spaces, pulling away from these social media platforms as like anything more than a gauge of the craziest, most uninvolved people in politics. Uninvolved in the sense of, other than the big follower accounts that have been around for a while and haven't just made bots on their accounts on sites like Twitter, for example, you're starting to see a lot more of the spam on Threads and Blue Sky as well. But I think I was saying this in other conversations, but over the week while I was traveling, it was harder for me than ever to get information about what was happening on the ground in Los Angeles, for example. And that's a good thing. That's actually a very good thing, because that means the operational security of people who are doing neighborhood patrols, neighborhood security, people who are organizing protests and doing all these different things. That means they are getting their stuff done before the news media is able to get in there, before right-wing media is able to like try to get in and sabotage and exploit and do their thing they usually do, because it gets all these clicks, different things. But yeah, I think it's important that these are real human lives here. These are these are real dire situations that are not being taken seriously by leadership in the United States or Israel. And it's important, like, in our rhetoric, like sometimes it can be charged, sometimes like doing all these different things. But if we are approaching politics the same way we're approaching sports and not saying, oh, these people are getting injured or whatever, or their lives are being taken away, and you can't wrestle with those things and also like, pop in a couple of jokes here and there, then I've already tuned you out politically. You're just like a spectator. You're not really in this for any reason. Bam, what are you gonna say?
Yeah, and while this is happening, and I can't remember if we were going to talk about Gaza later or not. I'll just say it here. In the meantime, literally the IDF is firing on people in Gaza going to get aid. Literally every day, it's like at least 30 people got killed waiting for food aid.
We will talk about that a little bit later, for sure. So that's the only reason I'm cutting you off here.
No, good.
Yeah, but I did want to, before we ended on this story, there are two sort of like, okay, let me now do a little bit of media analysis thing here. First of all, the Guerrillas are fighting yet again. We love that. Let's just, keep it coming. And a lot of folks have seen Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz go off. And by a lot of folks, I mean like relative normies have come up to me. That's just what happens in New York. Normal people talk to you. No, not really. But, like normal people in my life who like I'm now have a little bit more proximity to are like, yo, did you see that Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz joint? And I'm like, listen, I'm not going to watch the whole 2-hour thing because like I just don't have that in me anymore. But the parts where Ted Cruz is like, prep school beating him up in the bathroom. Sorry, where Tucker Carlson's prep school beating up Ted Cruz in the bathroom. I've rewatched about 4 or 5 times, and it's about to be a 6th. So we all saw, I mean, most of us have seen that clip where they're arguing over, or Tucker Carlson goes, okay, how many people are in Iran? And Ted Cruz fails that answer. What's the ethnic makeup of Iran? And Ted Cruz fails that answer, and then goes into his sort of like neocon flip. Well, Ted Cruz, after getting brutally beaten on the battlefield of ideas, resorts to, I think, what we're going to actually be seeing a lot more of, the more these tensions in the Middle East heighten, not just in this current spur, but we're only 6 months in the Trump administration. This is going to happen again. So this is just a sneak peek into some of the Islamophobia we're going to be seeing wreaking throughout this, but also the tactics that are going to be used for people standing up in this case. So with that context, here's a clip from Tucker Carlson where you're kind of seeing Ted Cruz play out one of the lazier tactics rhetorically he can do in this case. Oh, I keep doing the thing where I play it without playing it. So here we go.
Do you think that that it's just interesting because what you're now describing in a very defensive way, I will say, is.
Wait, oh, okay, there it is. It's showing on screen for everyone. Sorry, it's slow on this computer.
Do you think that it's just interesting because what you're now describing in a very defensive way, I will say, is foreign influence over our politics?
No.
And you began, and it's so transparently obvious to everybody. I don't know why you would be embarrassed of it. You've said that you are sincerely for Israel. I believe you. I don't think you have some weird agenda. You seem to be sincere.
By the way, Tucker, it's a very weird thing. The obsession with Israel. When we're talking about foreign countries,
hardly an obsession.
You're not talking about Chinese. You're not talking about Japanese. You're not talking about the Brits. You're not talking about the French. The question: what about the Jews? What about the Jews?
Oh, like I'm an anti-Semite now.
Senator, you're asking the questions, Tucker. You're asking, why are the Jews controlling our foreign policy?
Senator,
that's what you just asked.
Hardly saying that, and I have.
That is exactly what you just said.
Well, actually, I can speak for myself and tell you what I am saying.
Good.
On behalf not simply of myself, but of my many Jewish friends who would have the same questions, which is to what extent, and it's interesting you're trying to derail my questions by calling me an anti-Semite, which you are.
I did not.
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my face, you are in a sleazy feline way implying it, or just asking questions about the Jews. I'm not asking questions about the Jews. There's nothing to do with Jews or Judaism. It has to do with the foreign government.
Isn't Israel controlling our foreign policy? That's not about the Jews.
You said, I'm asking.
And by the way, you're the one that just called me, I think, a sleazy feline. Let's be clear.
It's easy to imply that I'm an anti-Semite, which you just did.
No, I just said, why is that the only question you're asking? You answer it. Give me another reason. If you're not an anti-Semite, give me another reason why the obsession is Israel.
I am in no sense obsessed with Israel. We are on the brink of war with Iran. And so these are valid questions.
But you're not asking about Iran or the
If I can finish, you asked me why I'm obsessed with Israel.
Yep.
3 minutes after telling me that when you first ran for Congress, you elucidated one of your main goals, which is to defend Israel.
Yes.
And I'm the one who's obsessed with Israel. I don't see a lawmaker's job as defending the interests of a foreign government, period. Okay. Any government, including the ones that my ancestors come from. So that's my position. That does not make me an anti-Semite. And shame on you for suggesting otherwise. And I'm...
Ooh. Sleazy, greasy Ted Cruz. Not really doing quite well there. Now, before we kick off the festivities here, let's just be clear. Tucker Carlson is an anti-Semite. Just straight up. Like that is a fact. Here though, you have a situation where Israel took the first move and struck Iran, and the United States is saying that, we're going to come and have Israel's back and help them with whatever they need in whatever capacity the United States can. This is not inconsistent American policy. In fact, that's kind of a problem that a lot of people who are anti-war have, regardless of how they came to that, current anti-Iran war stance. But Ted Cruz has, like many Republicans throughout his entire career, and many Democrats, frankly, have done this sort of like loyalty song and dance with Israel. Now, again, like I throw the thing on Ted Cruz again. What's his stance on unrelenting support for Chad? Like unrelenting support for Laos or Paraguay. Like there's always I get unrelenting support for U.S. allies, unrelenting support for people we work for, but when you have a situation where one of your allies is clearly been acting rogue and has been for generously 2 years, it's not your point to say like, hey, I see that you have been, kind of crashing out and really having a hard go of it. So I'm just going to leave this crack pipe here, and I'm going to give you a little bit of money for some other illicit drugs. And while you're at it, I brought you a new car. I'm going to put the keys right here. So, do whatever you want to, buddy. That's the sort of foreign policy point that Tucker Carlson is saying that doesn't make sense. And Ted Cruz's response is, it's interesting that you seem to be a little bit obsessed. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that registers to your audience. And not only did Ted Cruz play that poorly, because that was one of the rare times where Tucker Carlson was not really coming from an anti-Semitic point, at least rhetorically, but because Tucker Carlson is an anti-Semite, the people in his audience are also largely anti-Semitic too, and fill their media diet with your Candace Owenses, maybe your Nick Fuentes's, all these other, random ex-media figures who are popping up who do have legitimately anti-Semitic viewpoints. And that's the audience Ted Cruz is talking to. And that's the base Ted Cruz needs for re-election ever again. And that's, you just cooked yourself, buddy. Like, this is, it's one thing when liberals and the left do it, because that's like, it's bringing it back. It's the cat bringing the mouse back from the field. Like, look what I brought home for you, right? It's another thing when it's right-wing on right-wing violence, and it's this ascendant sort of faux populist era of it that is getting the most attention here. That's all to say that, like, Ted Cruz got spanked like a pledge at a fraternity. Like, it was not good for him at all. It's fun for me to watch, but also, let's be clear, these people are all ghouls, and this is a let them fight argument, not a I'm taking Tucker on this one argument, because I'm not. Other than where it just happened right now, those words ain't coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I'll talk now. Finally, thanks, Bam. I'll say this. I'll call a dub when I see a dub, and that's definitely a dub. That's a W, regardless. Like, we'll take that. Like, we the people, CIA included, we'll take that. But like you said, let it be known. It's like Lefty said in the chat, but we do not ever need to hand it to Tucker. Tucker needs no props. We all know what they're on demon mode all the time, and not in a good way. And this is straight ghouls. Both, it's like a racist point. It's like they're doing the Spidey meme where they're just pointing at each other, but it's all just racist, anti-Semitic people all in one circle. It's all Spidey. And honestly, to be honest, I'm just like Dan. I'm a degenerate. I've watched this clip a million times. I've watched all the clips. I'm actually took it farther step than Dan. I put that joint on when I was in bed. I was like, "What's wrong with me? I'm gonna watch this in bed right now." I watched the whole damn 2 hours, but I fell asleep. Whatever. It's like my lullaby to go to sleep. Hearing two freaks arguing.
Cease wakes up in the morning, subliminally speaking like William F. Buckley.
Yeah, I wake up in the morning and I'm wearing a CIA shirt. That's what happened to me. So I'll say
just needs a bow tie.
It's not real beef though. Like, even when you hear them arguing with each other, like, he called them like a sniveling cat, like, and then the other dude's like, "Oh, well, you say that, but I heard you just call me a sniveling cat." It's like, at some point I'm like Tucker's a theater kid. I know a theater kid when I see one. That's a great time. And he's not saying that they reenacted a whole show, but a theater kid is always able to turn up a little bit for the TV and the bow tie and the lights. Yeah, let's make this something, because the end of the day, he's just going to get more views and more popularity out of it. And some schmucks who think that this is like a good point, am I actually go and follow him and listen to more things in the future? Probably, honestly, some dumb people on the left might start posting what this guy says. Who knows nowadays? I can't even tell anymore. But don't mistake this as like some kind of real thing. The way they were even insulting each other, it's so quickly forgivable. Like, it's not shit. So like that, I loved it. It's a W, but it's not real beef. That's not enough to cause the division. The division comes through much more. There's too much time left for forgiveness. There's too much time left for forgiveness, and the division is more a recognition of what these conversations have been in online media circles. But right when you said leftists in support of Tucker Carlson, I almost broke my hand reaching for the door noise. I'm not paying attention. Breaking news live tweet from Dan supporting Tucker.
Again, it's going to be Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, people are going to do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Unless my rent goes up in New York, in which case I'm going to be doing it too.
Well, last time it was The Intercept bringing Tucker on because he had some nascent.
Glenn Greenwald, to be fair. Glenn Greenwald.
No, I think it was the other guy. I forgot his name.
No.
Or was it Glenn Greenwald? Well, I think Glenn was interviewing him, but it was the other guy's platform too. But whatever. Ryan Grimm, maybe, I forgot. Yeah, Tucker is coming at that argument he's having with Ted Cruz from an anti-Semitic point of view. He's saying, like, y'all are the Jews are controlling America, like Alex Jones has been saying for 30 years. And the reality is, Israel is not doing anything without like American knowledge or like American support of it. Like, I don't think that Israel, like, doing what it's doing in Gaza, like, like America just like either like supports it or doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like
really fast. Like AIPAC is just acting like every other single industry in the United States that has a super PAC, like a political action committee that, you know, files it like everyone else. And they're like, hey, I listen to Politico Playbook, and the joke is like, okay, this is obviously like bought and paid for by pharma, because every episode is brought to you by their super PAC, or it's brought to you by a super PAC for restaurateurs the same week they're talking about driving down wages. It's brought to you by energy companies at the same time when they're talking about regulating them. So like, this is just kind of the relationship they have in this media space here.
Right. And yeah, like, does anybody expect Ted Cruz to know anything about Iran? Nobody knows anything about Iran.
Ted Cruz doesn't know anything about the Texas power grid. But to your point, like the recent poll, and I think C saw this, that's why he's laughing. This is as of this month, June 2025, year of our Lord. Only 1 in 5 Americans can correctly identify Iran on a map.
That's bullshit. There's no way 20% of Americans can do that. There's no way. There's no way 20% of Americans can do that.
There was a 2003 poll. We've gotten worse. It's like 9% now.
They put a map like with the names on it and gave them like 2 minutes to find it. Because there's no way.
Don't even know what a Persian is. 20%
like
don't even. They think Prince of Persia. They don't even know.
Forget about Ted Cruz. Like, your average leftist in media or like online does not know shit about Iran. Like, and that's okay. It's America. You don't have to know anything about anywhere else. But so I think what Tucker was doing, for me, I'm just like, dude, whatever. Like, you're trying to like get some cheap points off Ted Cruz, who you know is an idiot. Like, he is a know-nothing politician. Like, he doesn't know shit. Of course he doesn't know anything about Iran. Tucker Carlson doesn't know anything about Iran just because he knows the population. I wish that he answered that question of what the ethnic makeup of Iran was. I wish that Tucker addressed it, because I'm sure that Tucker actually doesn't know. He was just going to say, oh, they're Persian.
GPT questions on a note card to try to do it.
Right. Like, he was just going to say, oh, they're Persian, when there's actually a lot of different ethnicities in Iran, actually, including a lot of Arabs. But regardless, that whole thing to me is just like, I don't care. Also, let Trump administration make the decision to bomb Iran. However Trump spends it, Tucker Carlson's going to support it 100%. If Donald Trump uses one of them bunker buster bombs to bomb Fordo, in the mountain nuclear facility from Austin Powers, and it's a successful hit, and it's just like one bombing and then it's over, Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be like, oh my God, see, look how effective he is. Like, look how surgical Donald Trump is. He didn't get us into some long drawn out war. He just had to bomb them one time. They capitulated and whatever. Or if it's, they use the bunker busters and then they got to send troops in and it only lasts for 6 months. See, before the war would have lasted 20 years. You see how Trump did it?
Most efficient president in history. Never been a better commander.
They're going to give him the liberal SEAL Team 6 treatment.
Oh yeah, like it's gonna be, no matter what, Tucker Carlson, like, it sounds hot right now. Now, I don't know, maybe Tucker Carlson, I don't know. He gives me little bitch vibes, but maybe he does have some pride, because Trump was clowning him when he found out that Tucker was saying all this. He was like, well, you know, I didn't hear about that because, you know, he should try to get back on TV or something like that so somebody knows what he's saying. Now, I'm sure Tucker heard that, and maybe he has some pride, and he'd be like, well, fuck you, I'm going to keep going hard. But I think I think Tucker wants to be back in the good graces of Trump and them. So he's going to be slobbing on the knob soon. Caesar, what?
It's like, there's no way where, like, Trump, let's keep it real. the easiest person to do a 360 windmill reverse between the legs 5 times, heel clicker dunk on top of is this bozo. Okay, that's the easiest person on the right. That's like easy W. During COVID, this man was flying around with his kids. No matter, he's so goofy. So I had thought when I first saw the clip, I thought it was almost like yeah, he's just gonna rip on him because like he's dumb. But it's like, it's crazy that you give this man 2 hours to talk as if like, did you even see some of the clips? He's talking about like, oh, well, you know, I'm just following the Bible. And the Bible says I got to protect Israel. And then I'm like, is this man just asking to get dunked on? And then Tucker is like, oh, well, you know, are you talking about the Bible back then in Genesis was talking about the state of Israel now that's like 50 years old. He's like, oh, it's talking about Israel in general. He's like, okay, well, Israel proper, or like, what are we? It was just so dumb. I'm like, this is like a super long SNL skit at some point. Like, and they're probably gonna get rocked on there too, and it's gonna make the libs happy. It's gonna be a great time. But at the like, number one, he will never come with that energy. He will never ever speak with that kind of energy to Donald Trump. He'll never do that. He'll never lift that ugly chin up and do anything and put no bass behind his voice ever. So if you're over here dunking on easy prey, that's why you don't get props. That's nothing. And that's why even Trump, which is a damn shame Trump had to rock you too. Like, Trump is willing to jump back into the NBC mode and be like, that's just somebody trying to get clout. I don't need that. Like, that's a little TV person. He just worked you too, dog. Like, so it's really not much, but I'm going to wind it back before I get it in. I'm down to watch him fight. Keep fighting, keep getting messy, keep pulling hair, you know, play dirty. Great. I'm down. I'll just sit back and let this implode from the inside and we can just keep applying pressure in the future. Like, all right.
Yeah, it's really funny how Ted Cruz has really become the pain sponge for Donald Trump and the administration, and has since he made that telephone banking calls for him. And we had that photo after Trump had just called Ted Cruz's wife ugly. And ever since then, you know, he grew the beard, he got his depression gut in, and then he's been ever since then circling the wagons for Mr. McDonald's butt buddy president. And so you get this now, not this month. Now you get this situation you're describing. And yeah, like Donald Trump is still king. Tucker Carlson, if his show's not exclusive to X anymore, because I was able to see a lot of that stuff on YouTube that he was talking about. But Tucker Carlson is kind of like riding a horseless carriage right now. But I think this all gets to what I think we're trying to ultimately agree with on here, which is that not to do it. I'm going to do it, but very, very
do it. We do a news show, and that is what happened in the news.
Cenk's whole thing about, listen, the left doesn't understand this whole big MAGA populist sort of movement right now, and that's why we've got to meet in the middle on things like being against wars and being against trans people having rights. More on that later. And all these other different things. We need to set aside some of our quote unquote left, max left, extreme left, 17 angry people or whatever he says online. And we got to start appealing to the right. Okay. Ro Khanna is one of the, first sort of of the internet Democrats. He did a lot of interviews when he was just starting to run for office with TYT, because I think he ran as a Justice Democrat, under the guise of not being corporately influenced and trying to avoid PAC money. I'm not sure what his stance is on PAC money right now, but I know he is the official House representative of Silicon Valley, of all of those freaks in that part of San Francisco, and giving them whatever they want to. Nevertheless, he puts on a resolution in the House to say that, let's limit Trump from entering war with Iran. This would be a bad thing. I'm going to co-sponsor this with a Republican. This is going to be something that we're going to see a lot more of, hopefully within the country, as other Republican leaders decide to step up and join this obvious resolution, because there isn't supposed to be a way for presidents to enter into wars without Congress. So far, at least to my understanding, no Republicans have really bitten into this. Republicans have largely proven to oppose Trump since he returned. Have proven largely to oppose Trump since he returned to office this year, making the war powers measure a long shot. Reluctant to oppose Trump. That's what makes sense. So this whole theory that there is a workable Republican base out there, whether you call them voters, whether you call them politicians. Listen, I think there's still something to be said about the voters. I think there will be a number of voters, Republican voters, who are like, okay, this is a red line for me. Again, whether that translates into continuing to vote for the Republican Party, I think it probably still will, because a lot of Republican voters hate trans people more than they hate entering into another war and potentially getting Cheyenne, Wyoming nuked. But like, the fact that Ro Khanna, and he's also on the similar tip of like, let's meet with these right wingers and see how we can help loot America for parts for what it's worth. And the fact that no Republicans are signing on this resolution should put to bed all of this. There's this reasonable Republican elected official out there. Oh, we can reason with the other side. We don't have to beat them. We can, meet in the middle and come to compromise on policy. There's no compromise with these freaks. There will never be any compromise with these freaks. And every time they even kind of let you in with I'm actually principled about this, I disagree about this, they came to it for viciously hateful and wrong reasons that you do not want to ally with just because you'll get power with them, because they will take that power away from you and then they will continue doing vicious things with it. And number two, what is this left punching doing? like what is this? I'm going to have a beer with the conservatives who are like, hey, listen, we're totally cool with what Trump is doing, deploying the military abroad and internally, and we're going to continue being cool with that. So that, along with Jenks mansplaining to Francesca Fiorentini about how there would never be any sort of, people being rounded up and put into cages and people being pulled off the streets, that would be, he called it crazy talk back in December.
Wow.
Fucking discredited organization. Sorry I ever worked for them. Fucking discredited organization. I went in on Anna before. I think, I could go even harder on Jenk, frankly, but for now, because it's just not worth my time at this point. Their entire view of politics, if it wasn't already discredited and laughable in December and offensive even then from what we were knowing what was going to come back then, I think right now, just by taking this week and then matching that to their post-election response, they have absolutely no fucking credibility. You can't call them news. You're just like, I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, because I said some things last week, and then Anna actually did get some similar, misogynistic attacks from other people, and I'm not for that. But these are very fundamentally stupid people who don't know that they're stupid, and they have a large platform for people who think they're smart. So, screw it.
We do a news show.
Yeah, I just saw a video of some guy who was working just like less than a mile from my house, like putting mulch on this area on the sidewalk, and ice pulled up on him less than a mile. I like walk by there all the time. I don't know what the hell these people thought, but like Donald Trump is who he says he is at the end of the day. And even with the anti-war talk, like, he's not genuinely against war. He's genuinely a bully. And he genuinely is a liar at the end of the day. Like, because this is somebody who, let's not forget, said that the two wars that were happening would end within, well, he said Russia and Ukraine would end in 24 hours. And then according to Caesar, now he's saying that, they're like two kids, you got to let them fight about Russia and Ukraine. And the situation in Gaza, as I stated a couple weeks ago, there's doctors within Gaza now saying that it's the worst it's ever been. And you have a situation where there's some like Fugazi aid company and they're just having people killed. So now we have this situation in Iran and there's no clear end in sight. If Donald Trump was a true anti-war president, leader, when they asked him, what's your response? Or are you going to join? He would say, no. He wouldn't say, well, you never know what I'm going to do. I might do this, I might do that. He would say, no, I'm not trying to be Biden Bam or Bam Biden over here. But I remember Dan and I both commended Joe Brandon in the press conference after Russia invaded Ukraine, when Joe Biden made it very clear that there would not be American troops on the ground. We both commended that. That was what I needed to hear, because I don't want the war to get expanded, and I don't want any more people to have to die. If Donald Trump was a true, and I'm not saying Joe Biden's an anti-war president, I'm not even saying that, I'm not even talking about him anymore. But if Donald Trump was a true anti-war president, when they asked him, it's very clear, no, we're not going to join that. No. Simple. But he hasn't done that.
It used to be all straight talking Don. Now it's no, he equivocates. Okay, that's just how it works. He's a thinker. He's a thinker.
Caesar.
Yeah, and like Bam said, he's a bully at the end of the day, and a bully's response to shit, he's gonna put everybody else at harm's way, at risk, in the most dire situations. And if we're even talking economically, he's a bully. He's gonna make all of us suffer more at the expense of his friends and 1% gaining more. That's what a bully does. They don't give a fuck about you. They only care about themselves and anybody mildly directly near them. So if a country starts acting up, he's going to pull up because he wants to impose his authority, not because he's looking for peace. If honestly, he could have lived up to that. If he heard that, I'd be like, I got too much shit going on right here, right now. That's not on me. They can figure it out. And yeah, people will get mad about it. I could be uproar or whatever, but I mean, that would be technically adhering to his quote unquote, I'm not trying to get involved peace thing, but he can't even do that. He has to flex. He has to flex some muscle. Go ahead, man.
This is one thing, last thing about Tucker Carlson and the other people on the right who are claiming to be against this war in Iran. These are the same people that are cheerleading Trump deploying military in the streets of Los Angeles. So they're not even anti-war. They want a civil war. Steve Bannon, his whole ideology is about going to war with anybody that disagrees with his political ideology in America. They want to kill us, actually. Go ahead.
Oh, and following what you said, yeah, they're crying, they're fake crying, bring the troops home when it's an overseas conflict, but no one was talking about that when they're preparing 500 to come to California. No one cares, right? And it's because, they're just going to onslaught onto civilians, so they'll be fine, right? Because they're going to be fine injuring and being violent towards civilians. I'm sure that's okay for them, but that's not a bring the home troops moment, right? That I guess because it's within the country beating us up from the inside with a civil war, that's all good. Deploy as many as you want, put boots to the ground there. That doesn't count. It's only when you cross the line, literally 200 miles from south of us, Mexico, or north of us on the same road that I live on right now to Canada. Yeah, then that they don't care about putting boot. They're gonna have a different feeling about boots on the ground there. So it's all bullshit. They're not truly against war. They're either a war hawk or they're gonna wait for the war hawk movement to go forward, then jump in after and pretend to be against it after it's been an insufferable amount of years out there in conflict.
Listen, y'all are cooking right now, so I want to segue to the national deployment of the military, and this continues to be a really dark story. But I was joking with Sachi when we were producing the show earlier this week, and I was really thinking like, wow, I knew Donald Trump would end up being a warmonger and all this, that, and the other thing, but I never could have imagined that he would stretch America's military thin by deploying it, not just, getting us involved in the Middle East and getting us involved with China and all these other different things that we're doing, getting us involved with North Korea and kind of like omni crisis that we had to do with that for a while. But by deploying troops to Chicago, to Los Angeles, to New York City, like the U.S. military, to Washington, D.C. for a parade, right? Like that's that's why the military spread thin, because Donald Trump keeps deploying it internally into the United States. So like there's a couple of like funny, damn, I can't believe we made it to this point pieces, but I did want to start with some of the more serious and troubling pieces. So politicians continue to get arrested, charged, indicted with a number of different things. And, you know, to be clear, these are politicians. A lot of them are lawyers. They have really good lawyers. They have some of the best access to legal, recompense of any of us out there. So, it's good that they're on the front lines. And even some of the more liberal senators and legislators here, if they're willing to get arrested and stand up for that, I can disagree with you on a lot of things, but you're fighting harder than a lot of leftists in that moment by saying, okay, I stand 10 toes down. I'm willing to get arrested. I'm willing to make myself fodder for the regime because I know I have more power than the people who are ultimately powerless, who I represent. Enter Matt Lander. Brad Lander, sorry. He is one of the mayoral candidates up in New York, and he is doing basically like court supervision because what ICE has been doing lately is just getting the courts to dismiss cases so that way, either people never hear their case was dismissed and they never show up to court, so that's a pretense for people to get deported. Or B, as soon as that dismissal happens, they walk out of the courtroom. Once they get to the elevator lobby at the federal building, ICE is waiting there to detain them. So it's like a honeypot sort of situation. Brad Lander was there, was observing it and, asking for like legal representation or asking to prove what like judicial warrants were there. And that's when ICE begins assaulting, I guess, but assaulting Brad Lander here. So let me play this here.
Keep going. Back up. Sorry, back up. I won't make this difficult. Sorry. Back up. Back up. Let's not cause any problems.
Where is it?
Sir,
where is the warrant?
I have my hand here.
I would like to see the warrant. I would like to see the warrant, and then I will let go. I would like to see the warrant, and then I will let go. Take him in. Take him in. Take him in. Let's go. You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Sir, you don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens. You don't have to. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I asked to see the judicial warrant. By asking for a judicial warrant, you don't have the authority to arrest U.S.
And then one more here. I'm going to play Senator Alex Padilla being arrested for asking a question from Kristi Noem. So let's run that.
Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
I also wanted to
hands off.
How many of our ICE agents have been shot?
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I stand behind my back.
All right. One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
So here you have the FBI arresting a U.S. senator. And, talk about government inefficiency here, but it's usually supposed to be U.S. senators have federal security detail. I don't think it's Secret Service. I'm not actually sure if it's the FBI, but, you have government agencies quibbling with other government agencies over their power to arrest government officials. I'm waiting for American media to just start announcing and reporting the news the same way that they do in Burkina Faso or, in Belarus, whenever there are these sort of like little fights with their like, oh, look at this, tin pot dictatorship, and look at this like, weird ass country over here and their weird customs and principles. Because this is some of the worst shit, genuinely, I've seen in American history, in modern American history, in the time I've been alive, for how the United States is cracking down on any sort of dissent.
No, it's really ridiculous. It's going to be, this is a hope, but I think it's going to be really great when all these people file lawsuits against ICE, because they are going they are kidnapping people literally. Like, there are videos of people saying, I am a U.S. citizen, and they still are roughing them up and throwing them in cars. Ford Explorers with regular license plates and shit. And there's going to be so many lawsuits, and I really hope people that have gone through this, I really hope they get paid, because it's really bullshit. I was kind of waiting for Alex Padilla to kind of steal on that one little short fool who was on him. Like, he had a good little grip on him, and I thought he might just like steal on him.
Alex Padilla was kind of on him, like
he kind of sized up
on his arm like this. I was like, oh, that's a control position, buddy. It's he might. I was hoping he was gonna toss that dude, just yip him real quick in the air.
See, this is the thing. Like, now Alex Padilla, like, you're thugging, you're doing your thing. You are. No disrespect to Padilla at all. There is a different tactic. That tactic is to clown these fools, because if you start saying, why
get your little ass off me,
why is this little man attacking me?
Get your little ass off me, I'm a senator.
Why is this little human doing this to me? Like, but anyway,
I'll just hire anybody to be a police officer now. Get out of here.
It's really a shame though, because just what, like, the videos that we're seeing, like, I don't even understand what they're doing. It's like so obvious they have no legal mandate, because what are you rolling up to somebody and saying, hey, are you a U.S. citizen? That person may say no, and you're detaining them. You have no jurisdiction for that, off the rip. 2, the person says yes, and you still detain them. You have no jurisdiction for that. ISIS beheads people. No, I'm joking. ICE.
So does ICE.
Right. What basically their mandate is to like go to the jail and see who's there. Like, that's it. Like, if there's undocumented people that have been arrested or have warrants, that's their mandate. That has been their mandate since they've been around, or Homeland Security or whoever, like, that's their mandate, or Border Patrol or whoever, whatever. That's their mandate. But riding around, stalking people, like selling flowers and going on bus stops and car washes, that is not their mandate. And there's going to be so many lawsuits. This whole thing is just like Trump's gift to the right. All these people are not showing their faces because they probably literally all got hired 3 weeks ago. Like, literally, like I would imagine right now, like, anybody can get a job with ICE and like Border Patrol. Like, it's just a giveaway to like racist freaks who want to ride around and like terrorize people, who are probably a lot of them, right-wing fanatics. Here's a job for like, 60 grand, and you get to go be a public nuisance for people, and you won't even have to show your face. So you can tell people anything that you're doing, and there's a video actually I seen of somebody here in La Mirada, and I'm going to look at that freaking license plate because they were in a damn Ford Explorer with regular tags. Also, did I say this on here?
They're also renting vehicles too, by the way.
Oh, I don't know if well, let's see who's renting them out. Enterprise.
They rent federal officers, state officers, government officials, they frequently rent vehicles from enterprise.
Okay,
locations.
well, it's either you're guilty.
Yeah, well.
Also, I guess I didn't say, because we didn't have Power Report last week. There's been multiple instances of people impersonating ICE officers and assaulting people, robbing people, beating people up. Some woman kidnapped her ex-husband's new girlfriend, dressed as an ICE agent. And somebody, I think it was in Philly, they robbed some guy robbed a woman, zip tied her and robbed her.
Videos, I can't tell if it's a fake ICE video or real ICE video sometimes.
The thing is,
pulling up on somebody in a Chinese shop outside, like serving some food, just grabbing a dude against the wall. I'm like, how do I know this is real?
They're never identifying themselves. Like, this is still like, and that's why there's going to be so many lawsuits. Like, I'm sure, I really hope that there's lawyers that are just like stacked like by these detention centers, because all these people are going to say they never identified themselves. They assaulted me. I did not know who they were.
Yep.
And these idiots, I'll shut up in a second. These like MAGA idiots think that when ICE detains somebody, that they're like putting them on the bus or plane to deport them. No, they're getting put in the detention center, and then they have a hearing or a trial. If it even gets to that point, half the time they're going to get let go off the rip. But if they have
hold so many people too, they don't have that kind of space.
Exactly. So they're going to have some kind of hearing, and they're going to get let right back out, and then they're going to file hella lawsuits. And you know what's going to happen? Trump is probably going to. Who knows what Trump's going to say? Trump might be like, "Oh, I didn't tell them to do that." Like Trump might sell him out too.
He might fire the head of the Homeland Security and be like, he's gonna. How many people have had a position under Trump and lasted the entire term? That shit don't happen. It's the hottest seat ever.
Tom Homan was a rogue Obama appointee who went way too far and is costing the country money with his overzealous use of immigrant detention forces. Abolish ICE. No.
Yeah, like it's. I think there's been a few moments in this country where I've watched video footage and it like stirs my stomach or like makes me really emotional to the point where I like have seen one video and I don't want to watch anymore after that. Like it's like when you see like when they talk about like the shootings at like schools, you're like, dog, I really don't want to watch. Don't show me live footage. I don't want to watch that shit. Like,
it was like a power report. It was like a power report thing that I think silently collectively made the decision in like 2020 that we're no longer going to play the videos of black bodies getting detained by armed thugs in the streets. Because I just the numbing that you feel from seeing so many of the videos is something that is just fundamentally like inhuman in a way that I don't want to feel. So I just stop watching those videos, kind of like get that feeling back again. It's like No Nut November for your soul. And then there's like, that's an analogy. But no, like I saw a video just today that came out of Los Angeles of a deportation on Tuesday. And C's might know the one I'm talking about, where it's like in a Walmart parking lot, and there's just like someone who's out there doing gardening and getting pulled by these ICE thugs in military regalia and like camo in a fucking Santa Fe Springs Walmart parking lot, right? Like you do not need camo here. And yeah, this is like a human moment where you're seeing community members and you're seeing these like armed thugs, like, you know, like trigger discipline, ready to like shoot at any moment, and just like taking innocent people away on the streets. Like I had to describe it because this is a relatively new thing, but like I'm not gonna play that video. I'm not gonna watch that video again. It like fucking like fire in my soul how angry it made me seeing that video and how like distraught for they arrested the guy who took the video. They arrested this person who again turned out to, at least from reporting that I'm seeing from the LA Times, be a US citizen. Like lawsuits are like the only recompense people have left, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the legal process, it's slow, it doesn't always go in your favor, you know, depending on what jurisdiction these things land in. And that's exactly why Trump is trying to like disappear people to get them into jurisdictions that are more favorable to Trump, with judges that are more favorable to Trump and what he's doing. Even some of these judges are like, sorry, I don't have like the stomach to do this or like participate in this. So that's the good thing. But, you know, I think of, especially in the context of Los Angeles, there's, yes, of course, going to be a lot of legal, you know, reparations to be made. But that's going to come from taxpayers ultimately, right? And then that's just going to cost more money. Like all these videos where ICE is making like music videos to detain 2 people basically at the Santa Fe Springs swap meet in LA. I'm like, okay, we don't even know if those people were criminals or not, because it seemed to be picked up at random. Even if you did, you probably violated some of their rights, so there is a lawsuit pending. Americans are going to pay that lawsuit settlement, and we're doing this at a mass scale, not to mention the cost of deploying the military. And I know it's a little bit pedantic to be like, oh, well, I'm bean counting during the Holocaust. Like, you know, these gas chambers, they cost a lot of money. Hitler, do you think gas is free? Like, you know, we got to calm down. No. Like, I'm not trying to like reduce it down to these human numbers, but I'm saying that like even the ways that we have in the society to try to deal with some of these problems aren't good enough. Like you need, and I got a super stop right here in this country now, but like you need extra legal solutions to the extent of what's happening right now, because the law isn't fast enough and the law isn't just enough. Because this is insane.
There is no legal ramifications for them. There's no ramifications because the most upsetting thing about the video is when they pull up to people going to immigration court for hearings. That's not fair. Like it already doesn't matter. You could ramp up laws that they're not supposed to follow. Clearly, they don't care about breaking the law. Like if a senator walks to the front, if you got poor Maxine Walters hobbling over to this damn detention center and they're still able to shut the door in front of her, then clearly they don't care about following the law. They just know that they're too powerful. They have too much protection for anybody to do anything about it right now. And whatever the ramification, it doesn't matter. Conservatives, Donald Trump is only happy that the most important part of the video is shown. Here is this Mexican person, as that's a perception for the right wing. Here's a Mexican, a Venezuelan, or whatever the fuck it is, into a car, and we're putting him and sending him away in a Toyota Prius. Great. Wow. Here we go. This is the deportation we voted for. That's all they want to see. However much it costs me and you, however much the Homeland Security costs in millions, they're just going to say they had some workaround with the money, Elon. It does not matter. There's always going to be a way out for that because people voted for this to happen. And Latino people voted for this to happen. So when you watch that and I see people, the people who voted for Trump crying, cry harder. Cry harder, because this is the America you wanted. This is the shit y'all wanted. The people who were so okay with Trump coming back again and were so all good with it because they were standing on some principle I don't know about. Well, congratulations, because your neighbor's getting sent out of here. You across the street, people you care about, that person with the half-ass roof done. Congratulations, dog. That roof is not going to give it. That video, they grabbing the dudes off the step ladder and putting them in the fucking van who are roofing. Congratulate. This is the shit y'all wanted. This disgusting lawlessness of just grabbing people off the street that when I was growing up learning the education in America, I thought that was relative to, like, they talked about how Russia used to be. Oh, the KGBs just pull up and it was so scary. Well, clearly they didn't care because they're running this shit again now. They're running it again and we're just the victims of it. That's the only problem. We are the only victims that come out of that shit.
Well, Caesar, now you did mention ICE standing outside the court hearings. Now, there is one of those that I do support, because you did have that woman who made that hit song, I will vote for Donald Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump.
Okay, not this month.
And her ass,
that song kind of banged.
That shit was a banger. Once again, I will vote for Donald Trump. Now, I did see the video of Dan. Don't make me do it again. You better start dancing, Dan.
How is that not a fucking soundboard song for Dan?
That
What
shit
the
was
hell?
a banger.
Heat.
That's the most racist thing Bam has ever said to me. Start dancing on Juneteenth. Dude.
Oh, hell yeah. Let me start shooting at your feet like Tori.
Don't make Bam do the dance he does, the racist dance.
Now, I do. Now, when I seen the video of her crying so hard, now, she was crying because
Cry harder, choke on that shit, honestly.
Because her husband got detained right after the little court hearing. These people, these Cubans, oh, you're so dumb. How
Thank you,
stupid.
President Trump.
The Cubans, especially, and the Venezuelans down there,
They're taking the biggest L, of the Cubans. They look so stupid right now.
Donald Trump revoked 500,000 work permits for 4 nationalities. Haiti, okay. Nicaragua, okay. Venezuela, damn, dog, they kind of rock with you. But the Cubans, oh, now somebody might be thinking, well, Bam, no. The Cubans, they're already here, like they're already citizens. That's the ones that's voting for him. But, you're mistaken, because what do? They bring their family over here from Cuba, and they're not citizens yet, not just yet. They can't vote for Donald Trump. So they can't vote yet. They are not citizens yet. They bring their family, they bring their cousins, as long as they're light-skinned, they'll bring their cousins, they'll bring them uncles, nieces, and nephews, as long as they're light-skinned, and they will be here, and they will be screaming, fuck Fidel, and they will be having MAGA hats.
They'll tell you how bad it was, and if anybody knows a Cuban person in their life, or how either them or a family member of theirs, how Republican they are. They go crazy hard for conservative.
Oh, yeah.
I know a couple. They're radio silent right now. I'm like, yeah, I know you're radio silent. You better be really radio silent on IG right now. You're real radio silent because you made this shit happen, dog.
Oh yeah, Trump put Cubans right on that list with the Haitians. How embarrassing for you, Trump. They don't realize that, like, yeah, you brought your cousins here. You brought your freaking nieces and nephews here, and now they're gonna get dipped. Now they better not be in the freaking Publix market working, because ICE is coming for them too. They are here now. They are literally here illegally, like actually, because before they had some kind of work permit, but now they got rocked. But she was singing that song, and she had a whole band. They rehearsed that. They all had the MAGA hats. They rehearsed. Look. Dan, you might be thinking, oh no, they're Cuban. Like they can just play that music naturally. They just come out the womb with the trumpet, the freaking congas. They don't have.
I need Tucker Carlson saying, "Stop putting words in my mouth" as a soundtrack.
Dan, they had to go practice that song. They had to go rehearse it. And then they went up there and she was the lead singer and they sang it and it was a banger. And now she's crying outside of the courthouse because they detained her punk ass husband.
Yeah, rare W for that one.
Yeah, last other thing, not to pull some of the fun out of this, but this is on the backdrop of the week or the weekend where a shooter, like a vigilante in Minnesota, decided to take out some state legislators and had a list of Democrats to go after. And listen, I think they took him alive. I don't think they did the black boy holding a toy gun or black teenager holding a phone trick. I don't think they. Oh, you upgrade to the Galaxy S20. Nice.
S24.
Oh, okay.
FE.
There's a big FE right there.
Yeah, that fat edition goes hard.
They come out the eco model. Bam is right there. That's showing he's all about the eco editions.
I will vote. Okay, I'm sorry.
At least Bam's upgraded from the A series Galaxy.
That's true. That's true.
No, yeah, but like they're Minnesota God damn it, see. They're Minnesota legislators, and they're spouses who are dead or, still recovering from their injuries. And again, not to be glib, but I'm surprised it wasn't happening earlier. I'm surprised it's not happening a lot more. But it's within this context that, Trump can release a statement and, whatever. I think it's like Mike Lee who kept gloating about it. Like, this is the political environment we're in, where Trump is giving the go-ahead to rough up and arrest elected officials. Trump just pardoned the January 6ers who, they're charging elected officials with assaulting the police. They're charging ICE observers with assaulting the police. But Donald Trump, you pardoned all of the people who were assaulting police on January 6th. Some of them have gone on to commit other violent crimes. Some of them have crashed out and killed themselves already, honestly. But this is the country that is allowed. We can't just look at this as some sort of, aberration or, oh, that's crazy. Oh, damn, that's crazy. Like, this is just more to underscore. I don't think we're going to hit the full, weak ass Dems report segment because we've, been going hard on a couple of other more important things. But this goes to underscore how Democrats are so feckless. The elected Democratic officials are so feckless. They're not even willing to fight for their own lives at this point. Because this should just be a non-starter. Obviously we're impeaching him now. Listen, President Tim Walz, you know what's happening? You thought he was communist just because he had that baddie in the summer that one time when he was in Teach for America in China or whatever, right? You thought Tim Walz was a communist then? Boy. Yeah, like I said, the things that deserve to happen to these politicians who are standing by or aiding and abetting the terror campaigns that are happening to the few politicians willing to stand up, all the way down to undocumented citizens who are just being or undocumented Americans who are just being caught up in these things. All the people who are perpetuating this in society right now deserve what's coming to them in spades.
For sure. I want to go back to those politicians that were either shot and or killed in Minnesota. It was really unfortunate to see Mike Lee, an elected senator, making jokes on Twitter about it. Elon Musk also making light of the situation on Twitter. They're both pretending like this guy was some kind of leftist or liberal or whatever, because apparently whatever police department or maybe state troopers that caught him, they took some pictures of some No Kings posters that he had in his car. So they tried to make it seem like he was, on the left or a Democrat or whatever. The reality is he's a Trump supporter through and through, documented. And he's also an evangelical Christian who used to be preaching in the Democratic Republic of Congo, of all places.
He's a Democrat. Caught him.
Good Lord, do some Africans love a white American preaching at them? Good Lord. They love for
you'll take any bum off the street, will you?
They would take, this fool's name is Vance Bolter. He's a failed businessman of his whole life. But I guess he's got something good to say. They barely, this fool, he's not speaking French. He's coming there speaking English. They're oh, you're white and American, come down here, preach to us. He's a big anti-abortion activist. And apparently this murder, this terrorist attack had something to do with that. We'll see if he, has something in his mind would be significant to say whenever he gets to speak. I would imagine that he thinks of himself as some kind of martyr for whatever cause. But yes, he was a right-winger, Trump supporter, evangelical, but he did go to Africa before all of us. So
yeah, he did beat me there. I'm kind of pissed. But I guess, I guess I was just born in the wrong skin, clearly. I think it really, I'm so happy I'm not on Twitter because I really did not want to be seeing Mike Lee making jokes about this. It's anytime some horrific happened to this. Now we just gotta wait for Mike Lee tweets, I guess, because this man just loves to say some unhinged shit and like I could not believe that any person with a brain cell would think that this guy is a lefty or leftist. Are you kidding me, dog? Oh, what? I mean, but on the spaces they talk to, it's an echo chamber of bots, so they all can just write haha lol. But I don't care. That's why that site is dead to me, dead and gone, because it's an echo chamber for whatever view you want to see. This shit is not real. And shout out Tragic Magic in the chat. But I want to make one quick comment
Last word on this, yeah.
One quick comment, and move on. When that video showed of her crying about Donald Trump's song, I just think it's really funny that when I watched that video, I was like, that song is kind of a banger. I wonder what Bam thinks. And then on the show, we've never talked about it, and I was like, I knew he was gonna think that shit is fire. I know he kind of did a little head shake when they were showing the live concert footage. I was like, this motherfucker kind of like that song on the radio.
But look, salsa music has like African roots. So when you're black, you hear salsa music, like your shoulders start going a little bit. Your shoulders.
I mean, if that's what the Republican National Convention was opening up with, I'm like, damn it, when they start making heats over here.
I will vote for Donald Trump.
That's not an endorsement, please. That's not an endorsement. Just saying. That shit is a banger, though.
I knew you were going to need to get it out of your system one more time, so that's fine.
It's Juneteenth, okay? I had to.
I want to move on to a slightly lighter note. We'll get to this really quickly, but Trump's military parade had very tiny D energy. I was honestly worried that it would look real, fashy. We've seen the Chinese military parades. We've seen the North Korean military parades. We've seen, Russia used to get down and do all these before their entire military got decimated by the client state they're trying to take over. But thankfully, I guess, for better or worse, one thing I forgot that this is America, and we're just we suck. We are the biggest come out to the spot, trying to start a fight, and you're lifted V8 Dodge Ram, and you're 5'2" and can't punch for shit. That is literally our country. Case in point, I was at a wedding. Congratulations, Emma Vigeland. Congratulations to her husband. But I was the context being I was not paying attention to any of this shit happening over the weekend, especially the military parade, which was the day of the wedding, which is just very funny that Emma Vigeland now has to remember that she was married on Donald Trump's birthday. But once I started, once the people I were with gave me access to my phone again, because that would have been a problem, I was able to see clips like this. And I was like, oh, no, America, we're still a shitbox country. It's totally fine. I don't have, there's a lot to worry about. There's some very troubling things happening. But, in the words of Jeff Wiggins, we're going to be all right. So here's just one little clip of what I'm talking about here. And, the military might the United States has to offer.
Should have played that song in the background. I mean, let's keep it real. I mean, America America never had I'm not trying to be like that, but they never had a cool military. They peaked, they didn't have they don't do the crazy super organized marches and then they don't spend time trying to look intimidating. They just they kind of go off of a reputation. And outside of Louisiana, there's not really parade
carnival culture in this country, so you're not going to get flocks of people to sit there and watch this all day. Like, come on, like even the Rose Parade be having like 15 people sometimes just over there watching in the corner. So this is not the culture for it. It's not the time, because also you did it the worst time of ever. The literally no kings protest happening nationwide. Everybody and their mamas and their grandmas and their aunties and their uncles, everybody was there. It was everybody. It was not just like some Gen Z TikTok kids. Everybody, all ages, turning up and going crazy. So you only just did that for like a humiliation kink of some sort. That's all I can think about to organize and run this through. And also, fuck you, Coinbase. Fuck you, dog. Like, I'm sorry. You want to sponsor the parade, Coinbase? Have fun, because you look stupid as fuck now. And we all know you're falling apart.
Military
So
parade
just sponsored
by
watch it. Go ahead, tell them.
Sorry, military parade sponsored by Lockheed Martin and Coinbase. Which one of these is not? Oh, no, sorry. Lockheed Martin, Palantir,
Walmart,
Coinbase.
Walmart too was in there. Don't forget Wally World was in there too. I saw Walmart's a sponsor.
Walmart for your bullets, Palantir for your secret surveillance stuff, Lockheed Martin for your rockets, and Coinbase for your scams. And that's basically the American economy at this point. Like nothing else.
$45 million to put some bleachers up, dog. $45 million to put some bleachers up. Yeah, it was a sham. It looks stupid. And the only thing I love about this stuff is that it reminds people, just always think to yourself this. Even if you have no morals left and you're like, I don't know if I want to be a leftist anymore, I want to grift. Think about this before you grift. The side you're going to, utterly swagless, just the most boring, no sauce having, except for that song was a banger. That's because it was a Cuban. It wasn't an American. It was a Cuban. And that's how we know, because her man's got deported. So that's not an American. They have no swag, and they love to show you that they have no swag ragu. And that was another opportunity right there. They don't know what they're doing. The audio was great, and even though I know the video is edited, I still love that video so much. Of the little squeakies, I love that shit. It's so great.
Oh no, the video's not edited.
No, that's not edited.
That video was not.
I think they boosted that a little bit more.
No, it's a big ass tank. It's probably loud.
I'm down. I'm down.
Sorry, Bam. I want you to go off, but I just need to play a couple more things while we are on this. These are really like short clips too.
Where's the song?
I wish there was. Donald Trump. One thing about Daddy, he loves his crowd sizes. And so we had a couple of looks at the crowd sizes that were going on here. Let's see the main sort of like front banner here. Sorry, let me get that actually playing on the screen. Bing bong. So yeah, I'm gonna play this and take the music down. And here's them zooming out. That's a lot of green. Oh, that's wow. A lot of space there. So this is the main military band starting in 30 minutes, by the way.
Ooh. Military band.
Ooh, look how much space they had planned for people. Damn. Look how much.
Couldn't get some of those guys that were tap dancing for Trump. What's his name? Anel. He was busy. He couldn't perform. Damn, military band.
We got here's a comparison of the No Kings March in San Diego compared to that same shot we had right there. Mind you, San Diego, I bet you there's more military people in that crowd than there are in every military person who was actually there at the Trump parade. Because San Diego's a big military town, and you had turnouts. You had turnouts like that in other military towns like Cheyenne, Wyoming, Bozeman, Montana. Like you had massive crowds like this. The last thing, Bam, before you jump in, this is the thing I was pointing to the most. Maybe this is because little known thing about me. I was getting my ROTC on for a little bit, and we would have to do these like marches. Listen, that was how I was able to be on the rifle team. So it was very fun for me to shoot guns for high school.
You should have kept this one in the chamber, dog. This one should have kept in this one. You kept tight to the heart.
No pun intended.
I wouldn't have ratted on you at ROTC. It's okay, dog. It's all good.
Listen, I was great on the rifle team, and I left after a year, so I was not intending on doing that shit. But you, even in high school, you have to do your marches a little bit more in lockstep than this. And to me, this seems like these military people had no interest in entertaining what Donald Trump was putting down. Look at this casual ass, like walking, no coordination, not paying attention to each other. They're just like, let's get this over with. It's a hot day. It's going to rain soon. Like, complete disaster, complete like embarrassment. But Bam loves the troops, so I know he wants to get his word in.
Also, before Bam goes real fast, I want to cut Bam off too because he did to me earlier when he was doing his little rant. If they thought that they would find some way of increasing recruiting numbers at all, my friend, I'm predicting all-time lows. You got, yeah, I saw the guy walking with carrying the drone. What did they do to him? Is it his first day? That's crazy. What a horrible job. This is not how you get people excited at all. It even made us look like we're weaker than we could ever imagine. Like, this is just, it was just embarrassment through and through. So hope they don't expect to see more people, because no one came out of that thinking, damn, you know what? It's kind of lit over there. No one thought that at all watching this.
No, and my thing was like, why are you having that old ass Captain America tank? Like,
got the cool ones. They got all the dookie tanks from like the museums.
You know, like I'm not
easier comment. It should be sponsored by WD-40.
Right. Like I'm not even like
moves and drifting. Damn.
I'm not even like into like weaponry and stuff like that. But like
Bam plays armor tank games all the time. He's not telling you guys.
Bam is on military Reddit.
What is that game? Warships. Dan, he plays Warships probably.
War Thunder.
War Thunder. He plays War Thunder.
I played Battleship
on the Samsung Galaxy SE44. He has.
Yeah. No, but like there are like cool looking tanks and helicopters. Like, why don't you bring some of them shits in? Like, why are you bringing the 1940s tank? Like, some of them tanks, I'm like, do y'all still got them? Like, what the hell? Because I mean, I've driven to
the ones Biden lost.
I've driven to San Diego many times, and like every once in a while you'll catch like the tanks on the left and the helicopters landing on the right. Like, you'll catch them, and like they are impressive. I'll say that. Like, this is a feat of engineering here.
They want some Panzer tanks. Where the Panzers at?
That's what they had. Was the big like them tanks freaking I don't know, but
the cannon joint was like so tiny. I'm like,
right, like I forget a bulletproof vessel stopped that shit. But like like I just didn't understand, like, why didn't they bring out like
that's tank?
Granted, Blackhawks crash like every third time they fly, but like bring one of those out. Like, they look cool at least. Like, at least
if they had a Boeing sponsorship, that would have gone through.
Yeah, and like, why don't you bring out one of them cool tanks? Like,
should have laid out some cars. Let's see some cars getting ran over, some fucking dirt.
Right?
Don't let me plan that joint. It'd be lit.
Right?
People flying everywhere and fireworks. Hell yeah! No, they got fucking old 1880 tanks.
Right? It's like still running on diesel. Now, granted, I still remember when, because the U.S. military is notoriously cheap. I still remember during the Iraq War, 2003 Iraq War, literally American soldiers were like going to scrap yards in Iraq to find like stuff to like fashion onto their armored personnel carriers, and like to like have more defense from RPGs and stuff. Like, the military don't really care about the soldiers that much. There was people, they're like finding stuff to make helmets with if they like lost their helmet. So it kind of makes sense because they're like notoriously cheap. But that was embarrassing for Trump. And also, he said that it didn't rain, and it literally did. Like he was
a great thing to tell. Everybody's experiencing water from the sky, and you have the power to gaslight 200 million Americans.
He's like, yeah, it's so great. It didn't rain. It's like it literally rained. Like, what are you talking?
No. It was raining from Connecticut down to like North Carolina. It was pouring. It was pouring.
The sun didn't go up yesterday. Yes, it did. No, there was no sunlight the whole day. Okay, man. Okay.
You know, Trump. He once the first time he ever played golf, he hit a perfect game. That's what they say.
Right.
Many people
know he's a golf liar. You know he's a liar in golf. Oh my god, you know he cheats in golf.
It's like not only that, but that's the story of Kim Jong-un bowling, and we are here. But like, at least, listen,
I could beat him in bowling.
At least Kim Jong-un's military can march right.
At least when they clap, they look like they mean it. They're like super hyped when they're clapping in North Korea videos, and then they march real nice. That march is crispy. Yeah. It looks sick. They put the missile sticking out of the truck as the people are marching around. I'm like, damn, it look hard. And then here we got this fucking dude carrying a fucking
DJI drone. Yeah. Trump is so dumb because he could have asked one of them black colleges to come out. One of them would have sold out and came out. Like FAMU might have done it. And they would have been out there freaking getting it cracking for you. Now, granted,
a couple trumpets it's over. A couple trumpets it's over.
That's not like, and have them play songs that white people like. You know, they'll forget about that. It's all black people in this band. But if you have them play Frank Sinatra, then they'll be fine with it.
YMCA.
Or play Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing.
Anything by Bruno Mars.
Yes. Don't Stop Believing. The other one, the fucking You Were Born in the USA. Play that one. They're cheering and dancing. This is a great show. They're like, yeah, it didn't rain at all.
This is way better music than the Super Bowl. Okay, my super last thing here, and then I'm going to switch to gotta talk about Gaza a little bit here, but the No Kings protest. This could kill my computer, but let's try to show it at least. I'm not gonna get too crazy on this map here, but just to map and show how hard in the paint this was going. You had protests in places, Beverly Hills, Huntington Beach, which is crazy, Palmdale. All across New York. Let me tell you,
They said they were turning up at Huntington Beach. They were turning up.
There were some fights.
I was on Long Island, and there were thousands of people in these small little towns who were coming out to protest. And these are towns that have like the Memorial Day American flag still up everywhere, and like they're out here
adjusting to New York, Dan. This makes me uncomfortable. I know. I've known Dan many years, you guys, before this show. Hearing Dan say, I never thought I left Long Island the other day. What the fuck? Get your ass back home.
Once I start saying shit like Ronkonkoma instead of Ontario, then I'm out.
Dan's like, yeah, when I was in upstate,
you know what? You know what? Dan is capping right now. You know where he was? He was in the Hamptons. He's just saying Long Island. He was in the
Hamptons. No King protest.
He was in the Hamptons.
Him and a bunch of influencers.
When you said Ronkonkoma, I'm like, nah, that fool was out there. You were out there.
Billionaire nepo babies hanging out with Dan, just celebrating.
Oh yeah, Dan was out there.
Listen, I'm enjoying my time here. Trying to find me a rich wife. There
you go.
It's more jealousy, Dan, than upset. I'm just jealous.
These protests were obviously clustered all over the country, but you're talking about Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming,
Idaho,
Wyoming, Billings, Montana, Salmon. These are towns I've never heard of before that definitely vote red.
Shout out Twin Falls.
Provo, Utah. They all look the same there.
Provo is a big college.
Yeah, anywhere that has a college, they had a protest for sure.
Yeah, they said Boise, where Boise State is downtown. They were going crazy over there. Yeah,
We all know Huntington Beach doesn't have a college.
they're Golden West College like that. Golden West deserves more than that.
Yeah, Whittier, California had one. Shit, that's a big deal.
No, yeah. So I don't think these protests are going to be slowing down. I think you're just going to see more and more of them, especially the more wild Donald Trump gets and the fewer Republican support, or the less Republican support that he gets from not voters, but like mainstream people. I think the bar is getting lower. Y'all are laughing, but I want to. Y'all are laughing, but I want to move us along now to, I guess, like sadder things. So we can't forget about what's happening in Gaza, because in this Israel versus Iran conflict, like we've been kind of talking about earlier, unfortunately, all eyes are off of Gaza now. So, Bam, I know we were kind of getting into this just in the beginning. We were talking about Iran. So, yeah, just give us a little bit of like the lay of the land of what's been happening in Gaza. Like you were mentioning how there's I'll go for it, okay? I think it's kind of cute sometimes. No, sorry, really fast. I think it's kind of cute sometimes when there are people who are like, you know, their social media job is covering things on Gaza, and you know, they didn't really post too much about the Palestinian cause before then, but now they kind of made it their whole like reason non grata. And you know what? I'm fine about the support. Everyone's got to learn and start somewhere. That's totally fine. But people are acting as though we're supposed to all know what the flower massacre is, because this is one time where, you know, predictably enough, Gazans were trying to get flour that was being received on one of these aid trucks, because that's a small amount of food they'll bring in that Israel will say, well, I guess we can't say Hamas is using the flour to make bombs yet. Nevertheless, the IDF opens season and opens, you know, bullets and hellfire and kills a bunch of people who are trying to, you know, get after flour. And the only reason I say why it's kind of quaint for people to expect that we all know what the flour massacre is. Never mind the whole like media blackout that we have going on in Gaza that has been going on even since this whole like situation. But this happens every single day. Like this happens daily in multiple places, if not daily, weekly in multiple places, and has been even before October 7th. Like, you know, people have been shot trying to get aid, trying to get food, trying to charge their phones or batteries, or trying to get gas or what, like, no, like whatever they are doing, whatever they can do there, going to school, going to the hospital, going to work, like everyone is Hamas in this case. Yeah. So this continues to happen, and there is less and less media coverage of it because the media has been spread so thin, both in this like weird ecosystem that we have of social media, where if you are an American in a cul-de-sac in Glendale, you can become a war reporter, just because following some Telegram channels, but also because of the actual fact that the media has been thinned out in the Middle East more broadly, because Israel's been killing journalists left and right. So it is just very hard to get information out there. The fact that so much of the attention is being spread to Iran has just got to make things worse, but it's still worth paying attention about it. All that said, Bam, what are we seeing on the ground?
Well, you said it. There's literally every day there are massacres of Palestinians waiting for food aid. Israel's done this before. Yeah, you mentioned, but they're doing. It's even more pernicious now. They're like, you know, they're changing the places to receive aid to kind of like push the people of Gaza into areas they want to push them. All while the aid is being distributed by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is Israeli U.S. backed entity that just started this year, led by a evangelical former Liberty University like preacher dude who has no good intentions. They're facilitating the massacre of these people every single day. And you know the situation is bad, that people are still showing up when literally every day there's between like 12 and 50 people are getting like they're opening fire on that many people. Now, I don't even know at this point if it's necessarily the IDF or this other group that Israel has armed in I was going to say the West Bank, in Gaza, as a like another force against Hamas allegedly. I don't know who it is, because that group was like known for stealing aid. So, and this is the group that Netanyahu and the Netanyahu administration has armed as a bulwark against Hamas. So they could be the ones opening fire on civilians to steal the aid, or it could be the IDF. I'm not sure. It's kind of one and the same at this point. But it's a really, really bad situation. Am I going to say it again for like the 20th time in a row? Am I going to do it? Yes, I'm going to do it. Still haven't seen any Free Palestiners say anything about Trump and Gaza. Still haven't seen it. Still waiting for it. If anybody does see it, please send it to me, because then I'll shut up. But for whatever reason, Trump gets a pass on Gaza, whatever. But the situation is dire. And yeah, with this war in Iran happening, it's just going to be less attention on this situation that's still happening in Gaza. It is still like it. This is going to sound crazy, but it feels even more genocidal now. You literally have people waiting to get food, and then they're getting shot at. Like, this is not, like, you can't even pretend this is about Hamas at this point. Like, you cannot pretend that. This is ridiculous. And the United Nations and other entities, other like the United, like the different entities that deliver aid in war zones and stuff, they were from day one against this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. They all were saying that they should not be in charge of delivering aid. They shouldn't be allowed to do it. They are, you should not have like the Israeli military being involved in distributing aid. Like, that should not be the case. They're right, but what's going to happen? Like, who's going to stop them, basically? And Israel shut off aid for months, for at least 2 months. I want to say between March and May, they shut off all aid into the country, which is where you saw like Greta Thunberg and those people trying to take the boat into there to deliver aid. Now,
Freedom Flotilla.
Yeah, right. And I was like, well, they're not. You're going to be lucky if they don't shoot you. They got lucky, but they weren't going to.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it so much. It's an unpopular opinion, but like,
it was never gonna. It was never gonna deliver the aid, and whatever. There's also, I don't know. Maybe people saw this too. There was, I want to say it was 2 marches that were happening. There was one that came from, or not saying marches, caravans that were coming to deliver aid. I want to say one started in like Algeria, and maybe the other one started somewhere else in North Africa. But they were going to, or maybe one started in Morocco. I'm not sure.
They're headed to the Rafah border crossing. This is the same one, right? And they were stopped by Egypt, were they?
Yeah. So one of them was stopped at the border with Egypt. A lot of them were detained and arrested. There were people from all over, from Europe and stuff, that came, but there was 2 of them. One of them, they made it to the border, but they didn't let them cross. But then another one, once they got to Egypt itself, the Egyptian government was like, that's cute. We don't aid Palestinians here. But one of them got to Rafah border, but they never got to deliver the aid either. So the situation is really bad. And I think Caesar's playing PSP, but go ahead. Oh, sorry, that's the microphone.
No, my neighbor got locked out. I was helping him out. Anyways, yeah, I think when it comes to like the conflict in itself, it's really a shame that with as much time goes by, it feels like people are just becoming less informed about what's going on. They're conflating and they're applying less pressure to who's literally in power right now. Like literally, I feel like every time I'm just seeing people consistently dying, literally receiving aid, just looking for help. And then we don't blame the president. They don't put pressure on the president. If not, it's the most minuscule pressure I've ever seen. So I just want to understand what is going to be the limit, what is going to be the turning point. And now we're encompassing on possible escalation with war. Like it's only going to deteriorate more rapidly. And I do think it's funny seeing those posts, the Twitter bot posts like, well, right now, this is Israel's doing this. We're not going to get involved. Buddy, the president is making it very clear. 2 weeks, honestly, it's 2 weeks to convince him not to get involved at this point when it comes to what's going on in Gaza and what's going on with Israel.
All of the reputable reporting with sources, like you're right, C's, all the reputable reporting with sources within the White House who, as we know, like he could change his mind. That doesn't make the sources wrong. But oftentimes when you get leaks in an administration, even during normal cases, it's because there are people who are in these close decision rooms and they're not supposed to speak to the press, but they feel some type of way about how these decisions are being made, how maybe their own political power is being usurped in these situations and their influence is being usurped in these situations. Sometimes it's like angling for an exit, so they're friendly to the media, so they get some like book tour things. There's a lot of different incentives for this, right? But these are people in the know. These are people and journalists that tend not to like make these things up. And the general consensus from Financial Times, Washington Post, Politico, Reuters, like all the big spots, is that Trump has already made the decision to assist Iran and deploy. I don't know about troops, but I definitely know at least about like weapons, bombers, B-52s, that sort of thing to the region. And this does not by any means seem to be like just defensive measure to be like, okay, we're going to just do these things to defend our military outposts in the region. Because Iran is not the one who is going to be doing strikes unprovoked. Like, they're not going to give the United States the pretense, and like they didn't give Israel the pretense to, to start retaliating against them again. So I don't think Iran wants to do that in this case at all. But I totally see, and I hate the speculation because you're just on the record and most likely you're going to be wrong. But I can totally see a world where this 2 weeks is another like Donald Trump head fake. And he says, oh, you thought I was going to make a deal? Oh, you thought I was going to wait 2 weeks? Actually, I'm going to do it this weekend. Like a false sense of security thing. I mean, he's already talking about like, joking about killing the Ayatollah. He's talking about, maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't. It'll be really easy. We know exactly where it is. Where he's hiding.
He knows where he is. Yeah.
I think about, like, well, this is not stuff that normal presidents do, of course. And like during normal times, like you see how these things get leaked throughout the usual channels. But yeah, the current, and I hate to use the phrase like betting money, but like the current consensus seems to be that like the decision's already been made and it's probably going to actually happen not in the 2 week window. Because yeah, if Iran's expecting like, okay, T minus 13 days, 21 hours, whatever, they're thinking like, we're going to be struck, we can prepare these things, move some stuff, maybe. Like that's not going to happen.
I want to say it was defense minister of Israel said that the Ayatollah cannot last this war, basically saying like we're gonna kill him, like this is not gonna be over with him still alive.
Oh no, I think Israel's goal in this too is regime change, and they see it like right.
Yeah, they've said it. Like I don't think that, they obviously Netanyahu was doing his regular spiel about Iranian people, this is for you, like here's the time to rise up. And it's like, dude, that's not gonna happen. Like
sorry. Just to say the sentence out loud. Israel will be greeted as liberators.
Right. I mean, and like, I'm going to say this, and this is probably a bad thing to say. This is not the right thing to say. But those people in Iran, they hate the government. There's going to be so many. Yes, please get off the camera. There's going to be so many people that hate the government. Oh, this is going to be terrible to say. But this is the reality of the world. I don't feel like this, but this is how it is in the world. They hate their government, but you know who they hate more? Jews. Sorry, dude. People are really anti-Semitic, dude. People really hate Jewish people a lot. So they're not gonna there ain't no way, they would rather America.
Wrongly.
Yes, of course they're anti-Semitic and it's wrong. They would rather America come do it than Israel. I'm sorry, dude.
Stop! I came back in the dream.
People are really anti-Semitic, dude. People are really anti-Semitic. It's really messed up.
Unfortunately, in the region, it's not
in the region
less
too.
Anti-Semitic in that region.
It might be the most, but I'm not sure if it was a defense minister or not. I don't know the names these days, but one of them fools in Israel was basically saying we're gonna kill Khamenei. Dan, this is actually brought me back to what you were talking about when we were talking about it earlier. The whole taco thing, because I just remembered. Please throw tomatoes at me that I watched maybe 2 minutes of what John Bolton had to say about the situation. Please just turn me off right now.
Okay, Sachi.
But John Bolton was doing the taco thing about it, saying basically encouraging Trump to bomb Iran. And he was but he was saying oh, he's not going to do it because he's weak, basically. And then he was saying yeah, and I would have done it 20 years ago. I was like, oh God. But going back to what you said about the 2 weeks thing, and I feel like we did talk about it earlier too, but for sure it's not going to be 2 weeks. That is just, like you said, a head fake. And I wouldn't be surprised if we wake up in the morning. There's been a lot of chatter about basically they're just waiting for more military equipment to get in the region. They're waiting for the Nimitz and other aircraft carriers. Oh, actually, I did see, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I did see someone saying, now I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but apparently the Nimitz aircraft carrier, pretty sure it's aircraft carrier, is about to be decommissioned soon. So they were saying, don't watch out for the false flag on the Nimitz. And I was like, you know what? America is not above a false flag. America's not above that.
Listen, I don't know fully. We did kind of do the thing we were criticizing about a little bit and veering a little bit off of Gaza and talking about this Israel-Iran thing. But to do that, and at the risk of provoking you a little bit more, because there was at least 1 or 2 more stories I wanted to get to, and it's officially the latest for me, so these bitches are going to be ending on time.
Really interesting. Wow.
It is 9 p.m. for y'all. It is 11:30 for me. So we are gonna.
It's getting real late over here in the Pacific Standard Time, guys.
Wow, wait a minute.
I've never seen Seasoned Bam so excited to the idea that Dan has the incentive to end the show early on ways that are outside
best
of his
move
control.
of the century was Dan going to New York for all of our sanity and sleep. It's so good for the rest of America. Dan is in a time zone that gets absolutely obliterated by LA every time. Dan goes to watch a basketball clip. He's going to turn on the Clippers game and go, oh my God, it's 1 a.m. and they're still playing.
Real shit. I've been watching the casually paying attention. I've been paying attention to the NBA finals out here, and I'm like, wait, y'all in the games at almost midnight? Y'all are crazy.
The biggest adjustment is sports. You're gonna get rocked.
Monday Night Football and shit. It'd be late as hell.
Twilight, midnight football. That's what they got. Look down over here yawning. That's crazy.
Anyways, there was a post from a friend of the show. I'll leave it like that. Who is incredibly knowledgeable and has done on the ground reporting in the, Israel, Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iran space. And what they had said was that they were tired of people saying that there are no Muslim or Arab countries that care about the Palestinian cause, especially after this week. And, I know that's something that you've even said on this show, pretty much, at least in reference to Egypt. And so it's a little bit unfair because I think that, I think y'all make great points in general and y'all agree on most things. So it's a little bit unfair that I'm not showing you the exact tweet or the exact post, and because I think it would be a good conversation to have more live. But yeah, if you just gave your based off of what we've seen with Iran for the past let's just keep it down to since May, right? Yeah, they're doing it for a lot of other different reasons, but could you make the argument that Iran is okay, in addition to attacks on our own sovereignty, we're also feeling some type of way with what's been going on in Gaza and Israel's own expansionist sort of bent they're on right now? Do you see anything to that argument that maybe there are countries that care, they're just expressing it differently, or they also just don't want the Israeli treatment of getting carbon bombed themselves?
No, I've never left out Iran or Yemen. Are there Muslim countries that care? Yeah. Are there Arab countries that care? Yemen, basically. And generally, what I would be talking about is right there, bordering Israel. But the powerful nations, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, no, they do not care about the people of Gaza at all. And I'm talking about the governments, not the people. Iran, I'm gonna be honest with you, Iran is not trying to catch a body for the people of Gaza, but they're gonna make sure the Houthis are armed, but that that didn't last very long, and there's only so much damage that the Houthis can do. And at the end of the day, Iran, yeah, it's cute that we see a few missiles are actually hitting Israel, but most of them are getting intercepted. The day after Israel launched its first attacks on Iran, Iran sent 100 drones, and every single one of them got intercepted. And I don't know how many, but a lot of them got intercepted by Jordan. There's been campaigns that against the Houthis that Jordan participates, Bahrain participates, different Arab nations in the region are participating. They don't have no love for the people of Gaza or Iran. Now, and I'm also talking about the governments. So yeah, it can be argued that Iran, Yemen, and that's it, are doing something for the people of Gaza. But at the end of the day, it's symbolic, at the end of the day. Nobody's crashing out to that extent. Except for the Houthis. The Houthis were going hard, but at the end of the day, it's they're still, Israelis are still on the beach right now. You know what I mean? They probably are having pride or had pride already. It's not even that serious all the way like that. So yeah, I mean, but I'm sure your friend, I'm not even necessarily trying to say your friend, whoever they are, is wrong or trying to debate them on that. There is Iran and Yemen, but
I get you. We will revisit that perhaps at another time. I want to give you a point, C's. Maybe you can start us off in this. thing, but I want to talk about this story because it makes sense during this month. Trump's attacks on the marginalized more broadly are in high gear. It's happening for different racial groups, but it's also happening, of course, for the LGBTQ plus community. This week, we just saw a Supreme Court, the Scrimetti decision, I believe we're going to call it. I don't know, but anti-Italian racism. We're going to just touch on this a little bit here. So the issue at hand was a Tennessee law that was going to ban gender-affirming care for minors. Now, these are like, this is not just a kid comes home from school one day and says, I want to be, I'm a boy, I want to be a girl. I'm a girl, I want to be a boy, or something, anything like that. And, you just go over to Walgreens and get the puberty blockers or whatever. No, like it's a process where you're going to doctors. The doctors are making their own sort of assessment about that child, and the family does what any family does when they are, a parent or parents who have a child or children who are going through this, is that they listen to the doctors, they listen to the experts, and they listen to ultimately what the needs are of their kid to, make the safest, best decision for them. And, puberty blockers, hormone blockers are effectively safe. They allow, kids who are making that decision at that time to go through the puberty for their gender identity. It prevents gender dysphoria and that sort of like feeling where you're not locked into your own body. And, it frankly is helpful for the mental health and overall long-term survival of a lot of trans youth turning into trans adults. If the intent wasn't clear here, when the National Suicide Hotline is being gutted but being kept open, but the particular part of it that was built to serve LGBTQ plus youth and trans youth is being gutted by the Trump administration. So it's there's no reasons to do this. It's just like a very clear point piece here. But as we're reading in part of this case here, the challenge to Tennessee's SB1 was brought by 3 transgender adolescents, their families, and a doctor. This might seem like a small issue, but to others, it affects my whole world. I've gone through a lot to finally get to the happy, healthy place where I am, and I desperately hope that doesn't all get taken away from me. But yeah, this is, notably a decision that does not ban, puberty blockers, breast reductions, all other sorts of, like testosterone implants, all these other different things that have been present in cisgender, young adults' lives or, teenagers' lives, frankly, for a while. I know, I know teenagers who have gotten breast reductions or, testosterone increases. I mean, we remember the like high school sports program. I forget exactly what they call the national one, like maybe it's like a CIA something, whatever. But then we've been in those locker rooms. We've seen, we've heard, we know what goes on. That's totally fine when it's Bruce or Ben, the red-blooded American. But any other form of healthcare, any other, version where those pieces of healthcare are needed, we're now demonizing it. It's really terrible because, of course, for people who know gender non-conforming and gender non-binary folks, it's already hard enough, especially in this environment, in this world, in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different intersectional ways. But this is just going to make it not just harder, but, when you have people who the right wing will post viral videos about, oh, look, it's a man in a dress, right? It's like, okay, well, if that person has been dealing with like issues where their gender and their mind doesn't match their gender and their body, if they were able to get those puberty blockers and those access to that earlier, then they might be someone who is passing more, right? Someone who is able to kind of fit into what we heteronormatively consider what is female, what is male. And so, yeah, they're able to live these things in the rest of their life, but their hormones are pretty much stuck the way they are. So they're not able to fully embrace that gender expression. So you're taking away people's ability to get the way they want to express. And then you're laughing at them when they still try to express themselves with the bodies they have, the way they can, to try to be as happy as possible. And it's a load of bullshit for the country that says life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Obviously, all these other different America-boo things have never mattered or made sense to begin with, or had ever been seriously practiced by the people who preach them. But yeah, it's a moment of mourning. It's a moment of loss. And it's a moment of this is, we get rights forward, rights get rolled back. We're going to have to fight for this again as soon as, if the left is able to get any power in this country left over. Last thing I will say, once again, motherfuck everyone who considers himself to be a Democrat, who decides to, say, I'll give them the trans stuff because that's a little bit weird. Or, oh, I'm worried about women's sports while I make fun in my group chats about women's sports. No, fuck these. I'm talking about Cenk Uygur specifically, and Anna Kasparian specifically, of people who want to equivocate on civil rights and people's ability to live happy and fulfilled lives because you want to have a beer with a right-winger, because you want to make some right-wing Patrick Bet-David money, because you want to go all to all the parties and actually feel like you're important and not a 5% fucking loser anytime you run for office. Fucking bitches.
Caesar.
I mean, I still can't believe this is even. It sometimes, like, especially I'd say this presidency, there's so much shit going on in 5 months that it's crazy that this is also something to deal with. Apart from people being deported, apart from people apart from possibilities of going to war, apart from assassination attempts, apart from this, and apart from president, all the economy being bad, everything's getting more expensive. They're even tackling like 12 transgender athletes that participate, whatever, in like Iowa. Like, this is a big issue for them. I hate to say it. We already know. People know this. If you deny it, it's because you're just a horrible fucking person, or you just don't want to see it. But we all know the truth is that gender affirming care goes beyond however a decision a child feels about their gender. It can go to save people's lives. It has so many things involved, more than your minuscule high school swim record being broken and you're very upset about it because someone wasn't fast enough. Like, this shit is so ridiculous that people from the LGBTQ community need to feel like they're always in a state of having to fight to defend themselves. They always have to defend themselves, because once they get comfortable, someone else finds another reason to uphold and change some law and make that happen to make sure their lives are miserable again. It's really a shame. And out of all the things to worry about, who gives a fuck in these families? Why do you care how things are being ran? If a child goes to their parent and explains to them, I feel miserable in my own skin, can you please do anything you can, mom or dad, to get me out of this and change and make me feel more comfortable myself? Why the fuck do you care? Why does it have to do with you? I don't care. You're not even paying for it. So why do you care at all if your means are just being it's expensive for the... You don't care. It shouldn't affect you. It has nothing to do with you. Leave it a fuck alone. Leave these people alone. How about you start getting to know them, start becoming friends, start changing your perspective in life instead of just shutting people away. It's so old to me. Move the fuck on. So, like Dan brought a reference, no one they could leave high school sports, just male and female, no transgender people forever. It doesn't affect shit because none of that shit means shit. Those high school records don't mean fucking nothing, man. They don't mean anything. I'm sorry. Leave that shit alone. Don't hold it upon some value that needs to be upheld. Get the government out of this. This is ridiculous. I don't need to hear Republican politicians discussing a swim record broken in fucking Missouri. I don't get the fuck out of here with this, man. People are just trying to live and be happy. Just let them do that shit. Get rid of this fucking law. I'm literally sick of this. It feels like it to me. It's almost like why are we even addressing this shit? It's already supposed to be passed, and now they're trying to flip it and make the shit go back to make us regress. It's actually ridiculous. And I honestly, especially right now in this month, I really feel for the community that they have to keep having to go through this.
Bam, I want to let you jump in really fast. I promise, but actually, I forgot my point. Just go ahead.
Okay. If you remember, cut me off. It's all good. Yeah, it's really a shame. You see these politicians, they make so much of their identity being anti-trans, and it's just heartbreaking because these politicians in these same states, like there'll be some mass shooting or something and they have no energy for it. Like people getting killed at random and they have no energy for that. It's damn near, it's almost like they're happy about it because they're like so happy to say thoughts and prayers and don't make this political. But they're politicizing the lives of, trans people when, like it just has nothing to do with them. And these people are the freedom people. And
I remember what I was going to say exactly on this point is that obviously Republican rhetoric doesn't mean shit. They're always fucking lying. But remember, this is supposed to be the party of get government away from your bodies, get government away from your choices that you make about your health. I remember COVID. Why is the government telling me whether or not I have to wear the face diaper? Why is the government telling me whether or not I have to vaccinate my kids? Why is the government making medical decisions for me? The only medical decisions I want the government to make for me is if a trans kid can't get their care. And you're getting this from like ostensibly conservative parents who are like, yeah, I didn't understand gender transitioning before, but I have a child. I love that child very much. That child came to me and expressed how miserable they feel and how hard it is to experience the joys of childhood because of this. And the care is available in the richest country in the world. Even in the poorer states in the richest country in the world, the care is available. It's not over-the-counter, gender mutilation like the right wing has said. Metal has been popping off here, and you have a lot of good comments I want to address before the show ends. I will stay awake 2 minutes extra for these. But I'll add this one here. All the people claiming that Trump won because people were tired of the quote-unquote alphabet mafia going too far don't realize the alt-right was the one lying about LGBTQ plus folks. Exactly. The lies about, like, they try to tie it to gender mutilation, which is also like, yes, it's wrong. Also, it tends to be tied a lot to the global South and countries with people of color in them, and is nowhere near pointed to a practice that Europeans or other places do. And also gets really anti-Semitic really fast. But then they like tie that to the trans experience as though they're at all similar. And it is, rights are things you fight for, whether they're popular or not. Thank you, RMT watchers. I think you said it earlier. Yeah, like, oh, it's not popular. Make it popular because these are rights. In the 1950s, interracial marriage was not popular. But Janky would have had a beer with Strom Thurmond at that time. Go ahead, Bam, and then
and then also they tie it to pedophilia all the time. And it's like, well, who do we see getting caught up all the time? Like, who are we seeing?
First of all, straight people. Second of all, cops.
Right.
The TV show Dateline, whatever you've seen when they're pulling up on the pedophile. How many times was it? I don't remember watching episodes being like, damn, that's a lot of trans people. They just over and over. It's a trans guy in there. I never thought we all know what it is.
Not trans guy. Interesting, Caesar. Yep, get him out of here. Yep, get him out of here.
You can have trans guys too.
Nah, but you know what he meant.
Anyway,
okay.
But I will also say this. This is this panic thing. I don't know if we talked about this on Power Report, but there's a story of a lesbian cisgender woman who was in the bathroom and was beat up after, like, I think she either like went in the bathroom or walked out of the bathroom. She was beat up by a bunch of guys who thought that she was using the wrong bathroom.
What here. The hell? They went into the women's bathroom?
I don't know if they went in or went out, but like, yeah.
Do you guys remember Laurel Hubbard?
No.
From New Zealand, the 2020 Olympics powerlifter?
Yes.
Do you remember everybody
when they
transvestigated all these fucking YouTubers with their lifting channels making videos, and Joe Rogan talking about Laura Hubbard coming out of New Zealand, smashing all the records in the area, destroying women's competition as a transgender, like destroying women's competition. That's what they were saying. They were talking all that shit about Laura Hubbard and how incredible feats they were. She was attaining because she was transgender and she had a competitive advantage. Went into the Olympics, didn't win a single medal in the women's powerlifting. Okay, so stop spreading this shit. Don't listen to this fucking slop online. If even they were to take the base route of competition and deem it that it needs to be at some scale, and it's some scale. Competition is birthed from things being difficult, attaining hard work. That's how people get better. People get better through going through adversity. Something becoming too heavy, they learn to lift it to become stronger. Something's too fast, someone learns to be faster than the next person. That's how competition works. That's how sports works. Sports doesn't work through a gender system. It works through attrition and hard work. And yeah, there's talented people, but there's also been examples in sports where people who work harder than other talented people also won too. So that is literally the fundamental root. It's never been gender. We just made it gender. West culture, religion made it a gender thing and a foundation, but that's not what sports supposed to be about.
Yeah, sports inherently is not fair. Like, it's not fair. Like, when you show up, there's somebody bigger, stronger, whatever than you. Just, and it is what
LeBron
it is.
Can't play. Why?
Yeah.
Too fast.
Yeah, it's not fair, like off the rip. So yeah, but I know that these politicians are completely disingenuous. They just found some topic that gets people riled up because it's like punching down somebody to discriminate against.
1% of the population, 1%.
Yeah,
and 1% they want to shit on.
Yeah, and it's just like these people are not bothering anybody, and then you get the people, like the other marginalized people who come at trans people and stuff like that, and it's like, dude, like they're coming for you next, dude. Like, you swear, like rights for them is rights for you. Like, you should be somebody, especially, you know, you are not of the majority in this country, which is like white. You should be all for people getting their rights. Don't think that you're part of the group for 1 second, because yeah, I want to say it was Tennessee, but it could have been another state over there. One of them people started talking about loving versus whatever, like the anti-miscegenation laws and stuff like that. They started talking about that. It was like after abortion and stuff. They were like, oh yeah, maybe we should look at that too. Like, don't think that there's not people in this country that will regress and regress and regress until your ass is in chains. Like,
don't put it past. Don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable.
Because look at what's happening right now. You have people that just going along to get along, and they're ending up detained by some person on the street, basically.
People who thought that even the people who fought and supported Trump were thinking off of, oh, well, surely I came here without my paper. I'm not illegal. I came here without my papers, but I've worked hard. I have no crimes. He's surely going to go attack the criminals, you know, the MS-13 that's running amok the streets. That's where the people are going to get. First, the Venezuelan gangs taking over Super 8 motels. Those guys are the really ones to stop. No, they're sending tanks into fucking warehouses in LA. They're detaining people off the street from work. They're attacking people who are exemplary humans in this country, exemplary people who work 10 times harder than the next one. That's who they're grabbing first. They're nabbing first. So never get too comfortable, because like Bam said way earlier in this episode about Trump, like he will go. He'll go for it. He is, as much as he's a liar, he's about it. He will go to that freak level. And the only reason he gives these 2-week timelines, because it's whether he's going to do it or not. It's convince me otherwise. It's convince me otherwise on why I won't do this and oppress people.
That's a bar drop right there. I want to get to this last story because I am going to beat the Dan hates Africa allegations from Bam here. But bad lefty, great point. That's exactly it. If you saw it one group today, they'll saw it another group tomorrow, and next week it could be you. Only correction, it will be you. So I hope all those commentators who are like, let's give an inch when it comes to migrant gangs. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Let's give an inch to the migrant caravans. Let's give an inch to people are concerned about the replacement of their country. Let's give an inch to we're going to restrict the civil rights of trans people because we're not sure if they'll get a competitive edge in middle school sports or not. I hope all those people let me pull back really fast. I hope all those people can sleep well knowing what side of history they're on right now. And this is honest, this is genuine. I hope one day, and it doesn't even have to be in time for them to figure out and turn around, but I hope one day for their conscience, they realize what they did and apologize for it. I don't expect it, but anyways.
Not very unhinged, Dan. Can you get a little bit more unhinged, please? What was going on?
Expecting to be like, I hope
there in the Hamptons.
I hope your grandma died or something. What is this shit?
Out there in the Hamptons, you got sophisticated.
You apologize for your tweets in 2013. Who is this guy? He moves out of California across the middle.
For the record, the video where I called Anna Kasparian the Australians' favorite C word was shot in New York. So I still got that smoke in me. I'm not going to do it every week or else it becomes a problem.
But before the Hamptons visit, though.
Anyways, with the last 3 minutes of time before season Bam or overtime, I'm like, why are y'all complaining? But
it's late. It's late out here, man. It's late.
Anyways,
the sun's down, dog. It's dark outside,
and it's 3 hours later here. Okay, believe it or not, New York actually is a city that sleeps. But
time
is worth spending
long enough. He was in Long Island or
5 minutes. People I just wanted to point out a couple of quick things because Trump is making moves when it comes to policy on the African continent. I don't know where Bam just went. That's strange.
Why am I in this?
Let me see. Let me fix that. I don't know. My thing is wild. Oh, it covered Bam.
Conveniently took Bam out during Africa segment.
Well, this thing is wild. Huh. Okay, well, this view works, and so I'm going to run with this. But there are 3 stories I was scrolling through the news that I just wanted to highlight. Trump is considering adding 20 plus more countries to the travel ban on Africa. So you're looking at high semaphore, by semaphore. You're looking at this list right here, where you have the countries in red where travel is banned, the countries in orange where visas are restricted, and then the countries in this beige color are new countries that are being added that could face visa restrictions. Is South Africa one of them? Of course not. Is Madagascar one of them? No. So, but no, this is going to affect a lot of people who do travel in between these countries, who are from these countries, who are naturalized born Americans, or they're naturalized born American citizens who have roots in these countries through direct parents, through family members, etc. Also, amid all of this, Trump's top Africa diplomat, Troy Fitrell, I love seeing a white guy come to Africa to represent the United States and get it cracking. That's sarcasm, but that's the best we're getting here. But if even Trump's guy was, to be fair, for Trump's a 30-year diplomat who's worked across the African continent, and was temporarily heading up the department's Bureau of African Affairs, was seen as one of the most experienced hands in Africa in the administration. And this is after other people who monitor the region for the United States were being ousted or kicked out. A reason hasn't been given why for this, but it seemed like he was involved with the U.S. getting involved in negotiations around the Sudanese war. I'm not sure if I want the United States involved in foreign things right now, but that was something that, it was a little bit interesting that the diplomats listen, I see what's coming, and I, as someone who is professional, does not want to be a part of this. So, the fact he's a 30-year diplomat kind of means something to me there. And then amidst all of this, which I think is kind of just the story of what's been happening on the continent for a while now, while America is wilding and not providing any real stability, Beijing is ready to come in and say that it was ready to remove tariffs for all African countries with which it shares diplomatic relations, which is about 53 countries in this case, to sweeten the deal with Africa trading with these countries for rare earth minerals, Africa trading with China and different countries within Africa trading with China for rare earth minerals, for the industrial development, some smaller other business infrastructure development, trading for all of those things, and coming in, swooping in just at the moment where it shows that America is a little too racist to even make economic deals anymore. And so, of all the wars going on in the world, of all the fights that the United States is picking, this one's kind of more along the lines of Canada and Mexico and the original trade war of loosening relations here. I think it's going to be something that's worth keeping an eye on. Just because of the relevance of the continent, not just as a powerhouse, but also where a lot of the minerals and resources that industrialized countries are using a lot for AI, semiconductor processing, electric vehicles, all these other different innovations, aerospace. And it just seems like yet another fumble of the Trump administration for long-term American prospects to have any sort of benefit from the many great countries there.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I wonder, looking at that map, you do see some countries that have, good relations with America that are left off the travel restrictions. I wonder what the travel restrictions are going to be, because you saw Nigeria with travel restrictions. I wonder for who, because Nigerians come here all the time, and a lot of them got money. So I'm wondering what those restrictions are going to look like. But one you see left off for sure. Rwanda, left off. Kenya, left off. Why? Because Whitey be preaching there. But also Central African Republic, what? Damn, how did they get left off?
Yo, why did they? What the hell?
It's damn, okay. I'm surprised
Central African Republic make it through.
I'm surprised South Sudan is on there because.
Are you surprised about Egypt?
No, I'm not too surprised. I just
surprised me. A lot of Egyptians travel though. A lot of Egyptians live in America.
I'm just wondering about what the restrictions are going to be. But to be less funny about it, I know last year sometime Biden took some trip to Angola, and there was supposed to be some big, we're gonna do some stuff and make this railroad, and you don't have to rely on China kind of thing. For me personally, this is how I personally feel when it comes to the continent and its dealings with either America, France, Russia, China. I just want them to get to the point where they're not dealing with none of them. It doesn't need to be we're either going to France or it's China. I want them to do the shit on their own. There was, I wish I could remember what country I saw it. Could have been Senegal, but probably not. They built their own electric cars. They're like manufacturing their own electric cars. They're using them a lot for cabs. Like I want to see that personally, because I don't think that China's a good actor in the African continent for real, and I have a lot of evidence for that. I'm not going to get into all that. So yeah, Caesar's cousins over there in Bahia are suing China right now because of slave labor in Bahia, Brazil. So, you know, I'm not the guy that's like, oh, well, if, you know, China's there, all right, it's going to be good. Like, no, what's up with that real independence?
I couldn't have said it better myself. I want to see, I don't want to speak Africa because it is a continent. You know, obviously these are all individual countries. They all see things differently, but I would love to see them work towards using this incredible landmass, this incredible continent. Use this to self-sustain, become reliant on yourself or each other, and start to weed out the means of needing external use from USA, France, China. Build towards that. Build from the inside that you have so much of our. Start to weed out all these people mining and doing all this shit in there. Get that out. Find ways to build for yourself, and they will amass more power than they can ever imagine and more control over themselves in the futures. I want to see that for Africa. I want to see that for African countries. I want them to look at this and be like, whatever. I don't want to go over there anyways. It's cool though. Put me on a travel list. I was going to come to America anyways. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I did know that list was getting crazy when Bam had to turn around and check. Like, wait a minute, Nigeria really got caught. I saw Bam checking the country. He's like, wait, Nigeria? I bet Bam was like, I bet that map that Dan was using was fake. I got the real Africa map. That's what Bam want to say. You're muted.
I was like, wait a minute, which one is on top of the other? Is it Rwanda or Burundi? I was like, wait, which one's on top? That's what I was checking.
Okay.
Reminder for the audience: Bam is on the right side of the bell curve when it comes to knowledge of geography of the African continent. So you know, it's even tripping up him. I agree with that old school message that the goal should be, and you know, it's why the current de facto leader of Burkina Faso is, you know, in military garbs and a red beret. You know, that's not always the greatest look, but the reason why he gets a lot of attention, especially on like social media, and read that with a grain of salt, is just the way that he is fighting this fight and using that rhetoric of saying, no, we don't want France at all. No, we want to build our own things. No, we want to build our own wealth. No, we want to keep it here because we're sick of being the globe's Johnny come lately when it comes to our resources and our energy. That just to give some context as well for and then we'll get out of here, for what was happening in on the continent here. So it says U.S. concerns about the listed countries range from doubts about government competence and issuing authentic identity documents. Yeah, because Africa is the one that sells the fakes, not the United States. To anti-Semitism, see also United States, and visa overstays. And this part's going to be funny. They're saying that they don't trust these certain countries because of visa overstays. Country-specific data from a 2023 Department of Homeland Security report cited by the White House when announcing its restrictions showed that 400 people from Chad overstayed, making about 50% of visitors from that country that year. And 200 people from Equatorial Guinea stayed, 21.9%. Those are two countries I know about in Africa because I usually use them as the butt of my jokes. Sorry. But this compares to 20,000 overstays from Spain at a rate of 2.4% and 15,000 from the UK at a rate of 0.4%. So yeah, you have lower percentages of visa overstays happening in other countries. But 15,000 people are coming from the UK to the United States in 2023, at least when they were talking about, or like people who are applying for visas, right? Sure, let's take that number at face value. what would it be? 800 people from Chad showed up. So like, even if you're saying 50% of people showed up, that's still vastly smaller than the number of overstays from the UK. So it's just, it's obvious racism. Like, it's just like, there's no contest about it, really. Also, to add another thing, an affected country could gain reprieve by accepting a deal with the US to be a safe third country, essentially another El Salvador, to receive deported citizens from another nation. So Chad, Equatorial Guinea, you can get off of this list if you will become a, prison state for the United States, and we can outsource your prisons, and we can start sending Laotians and Cubans out to Equatorial Guinea to give the Geo group a little bit of a break. That's Trump's Africa policy as it stands right now.
They're all gonna say yes. They're gonna be like, sure. They're gonna like, sure, whatever. Like, what does Chad have to lose by saying yes to that? Like, yeah, we're a landlocked country in the middle of the Sahara Desert. You want to bring some people here? Cool. We'll fly them right back out after.
You know how much their GDP it costs for like one flight? Anyways, I'm gonna stop.
800 people. 800 people is not even a damn high school in America. What is 800 people? Why are you sweating over 800 folks? That's crazy.
Chad, people from Chad are really tall. So
okay. What about Equatorial? I've never met a person from Equatorial Guinea in my life. Why am I worried about this? It's so crazy to put them on a travel ban. What the hell?
Trump, he wants you to think about those planes and not that Epstein plane.
That's on facts. All right.
Why did we talk? Sean was in the chat. We didn't talk about the India flight. That's crazy. All right, whatever. One guy walked away chilling.
Sees Bam, thank you for joining me for the third week in a row. Let's pretend last week I didn't fall asleep through it. I'm back now. This is my life. I'll just be staying up till 1 a.m. on Thursday.
Coat hanger.
Can I do it one more time?
Yes.
I will vote for Donald Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump.
Okay.
Now she's singing that joint crying.
Bam sees. Y'all need to go to bed. I don't. I'm still fine, apparently. No, I'm going to read a few more comments, but thank you very much for joining. See y'all later. I'm going to read a couple more comments because there are some good ones that were coming in here from folks. Let's see. There we go. Let's full screen that. And let's take this out there. What was it? Yeah. Metal. I'm not sure if you're still on here, but you had some bangers. Yeah, we already read your thing about the LGBTQ folks, but Metal saying, seems like Israel saw it was losing the media war in Gaza, so it attacked Iran to get focused on a white versus brown war that thinks it can actually win. USA only gets involved in white versus non-white wars. I think that there's something there. I think that's definitely a way to get the United States base kind of into a jingoistic sort of way about it. I think it happens less and less as the country gets more and more diverse and also fatigued by some of these wars. But yeah, this is going to be an administration. This is going to be a political party surrounding him that's actually going to, smooth the runway out for that kind of jingoistic and racism-based jingoism, using race to stoke love of country, love of party, all those other different things. That's very likely to happen here. And then continuing off that, Metal says, hence why the USA was so invested in Israel and not Ukraine. Remember, the USA entered World War II because of Japan, not because of Germany. Yeah, no, that's actually 100% right. America was pretty isolationist in World War II and before Japan entered and attacked the United States. And yeah, the United States was a very anti-Semitic place in the 1930s leading up to World War II. Father John Coughlin, I believe, is like kind of like the Glenn Beck precursor that is often cited in these cases of being like a Catholic priest or something who had just like a radio show. I was like, yeah, what they got going on there in Germany? That's good stuff. So yeah, got to watch out for that. Got to be super, super careful for those kinds of things. And yeah, this turned out pretty good actually. Look at this. Was able to get the camera set up going good and everything. But anyways, see if there are any other live comments. I will vote for Donald Trump. That's very funny. And oh snap, Dan read my comment. I feel so honored. I feel so honored that you are joining on the stream and here tonight, friends. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. My computer is too slow for me to quickly go to YouTube and Twitch to make sure I raid some other folks. So I apologize for that. But I do want to make some quick notes. One, make sure you check out all of the other different shows on this space. Letter Hack, Ben Dixon, a number of other great folks are kind of putting that together. You've got people like Sandy Lovas, you've got Christina at Cosmopolitics. A lot of people who have been on PowerPort before are doing their own shows there, helping to bring back the early 2000s blogosphere energy, where you had an abundance, if you will, of anti-right-wing, smarter, more focused media, and spreading of that and helping that to grow and fight against what we've got going on right now. So check out this space where you're finding on YouTube, on Twitch. PowerPoint's a partner. We're going to be getting all those things up later this month as I kind of get things together. Thanks for the thank you for the patience as I get everything moving around. My move is starting to settle a little bit. Won't be super settled until like another month from now, but so some weird power reports might be happening in between then. But until then, remember, especially in this time, especially in this moment, the power is always within you. There are ways where you can go to a protest, join community organizing, learn good ways to get into these things. I've done a lot of work on this before with 50 Ways to Fight Fascists, really early Power Report episode that continues to be timely, even 5-6 years removed, and all the great resources that are out there for operational security, putting together local groups, putting together meetings, putting together community outreach, things you could do in the summer to help the unhoused, providing cold bottles of water, all types of mutual aid. There's power within you to do something if you have the ability to do it. And it's really all hands on deck at this point. So until then, I will talk to you all next week. And cheers. Thank you all very much. Peace.